It's time to celebrate the Centennial season for the Falmouth Commodores. A very special day of baseball coming up between the Chatham Anglers coming over from the East Division, another Regional 4 team, and the Falmouth Commodores. We had some fun today. Good activities done throughout the day today prior to getting this baseball game underway. A really, really good crowd. And we had some fun, Zach. It was a great effort.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of fun, but you want to talk about some effort. I had to get up and down that dunk tank quite a few times today, but not when you were throwing.
We'll talk about that later. Matt Venezia, Zach Serdenik, Destiny Sanchez, we'll hear from her in just a little bit. Had a good time. Zach obviously got himself ready to go after being in the dunk tank. But nonetheless, we have a great day of baseball presented for you here as we celebrate the Commodores in the Centennial season here. A lot of players to keep an eye on in this ball game because, again, you look at the record of Chatham, you can't be fooled. This is a really, really good team, but for the Commodores, there's not really, you could really pick anyone here, but Travis Bazan is the obvious.
Yeah, Bazana's been outstanding. He has continued to produce. He's on a 10-game hit streak. He's reached base in his last 15 games. The only game this summer that he didn't reach, though, was against Chatham at Veterans Field. We'll see what he does tonight.
That was only the one game that we've been over to Veterans Field to be able to play baseball. In that effort, the Commodores lost 4-1. On the other side, we have a player to present who was here earlier in the season for Chatham, went on to Team USA. But J.J. Weatherholt is another player on a different level for what he did at West Virginia this year.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best players in the country. At the end of the day, that's what it is. He's going to produce again and again and again, and there's a reason he's one of the favorites for the Golden Spikes.
Big 12 Player of the Year. Was a finalist, semifinalist rather, for that coveted trophy at the end of collegiate baseball's regular season. All Big 12 first team honorable mention as well. So with all that said, it should be a really, really great game, but as we continue on in our open here, we're going to send it down to the field with Destiny Sanchez.
Thanks, guys. Today was the Falmouth Commodores Centennial celebration prior to today's game against the Chatham Anglers. Fans were able to enjoy live music, player autographs, games, and more. And special guests are here, including Cliff Pennington, Ace Adams, and many more special guests to celebrate 100 years of Cape Cod baseball. It was a great way to celebrate prior to the game against Chatham. Back to you guys.
You could say that again. It was a great day to celebrate. Activities got underway around 3 o'clock here. Zach was in the dunk tank before I even showed up to the ballpark.
I don't know about that, but it was pretty close. I definitely saw you before I got in there, but not much. It was pretty tight, and that was good, though, because, as you mentioned, had to get ready for this tonight, so didn't miss a beat and make sure we can still call a good game for you guys.
We have some interviews lined up throughout the night, some great content in between with commercials and graphical elements to look back on what it's been like here at the Gov in the Cape League for Falmouth specifically over the course of this entire stretch of 100 years celebrating Falmouth Commodores baseball.
And it's something that was really a big draw, I know, for me, and we talked about this when we first got these jobs, about coming this year. I'm a big history guy, and so being able to explore all of the history of this league has been really, really cool over the last few months since we got hired on here and just in preparation for this season and in preparation for today.
You could say that again. There's a lot of history between these teams in terms of being two staple marks of the Cape League in terms of the longevity of both sides. But the Chatham A's are here. Some kids are here getting ready for the baseball as the lineups are being introduced to what's already been a really, really great crowd gathered here at the Gov anticipating the baseball. Get a good look at some of the fans and the spectators here at Arnie Allen Diamond at Gov Fuller Field. And with all of that said, we're going to send it down to the field for the pregame festivities that include the national anthem, first pitch, and the saying of play ball.
Commodores are delighted to invite these young players to join the Centennial celebration, and who knows if these are the Commodores of the future. Presenting the colors tonight is the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard. This Honor Guard is assigned to present the colors at special events, as well as at funeral services for fallen officers and retirees of law enforcement agencies. The deputies that have been assigned to protect the regimental colors and the national flag this evening are Captain Kevin Schaffer, Lieutenant Thomas Hewing, Deputy Keith Carvajo, and Lieutenant Susan Berquist. Thank you for your service. Anthem tonight is Troy Clarkson. Troy is one of Falmouth's storytellers, writing his column Troy's Take in the Falmouth Enterprise for more than a decade. As a former board member of the Falmouth Commodores and longtime supporter of Falmouth's hometown team, Troy has written frequently of the value of the Commodores to what he calls the soul of our community. When not volunteering in Falmouth, Troy serves as the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Brockton.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
To the mound, a lifelong baseball player, coach, and a legend, Arthur Ace Adams. Ace grew up outside of Boston in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in high school. He went on to play for the University of Michigan. After college, Ace played in the Cape Cod Baseball League for the Orleans Firebirds and the Falmouth Commodores. He was named an All-Star in 1973, having pitched 11 complete games. After his playing career, Ace became a pitching coach. He worked for professional baseball and amateur teams, including the Boston Red Sox. He is known for his old-school philosophy of pitching, which is to throw strikes and get the batter out. Accompanying Ace Adams to the mound today for the first pitch are two other important people in the 100-year history of the Falmouth Commodores. Cliff Pennington was a member of the amazing 2004 Commodores team that generated 8 future Major League stars. Cliff was a first-round draft pick of the Oakland Athletics in 2005 and spent a long career in the major leagues before being inducted into the Cape Cod League Hall of Fame in 2020. Chuck Sturvant is the man synonymous with the Falmouth Commodores. He has held various roles with the team over his legendary 36-year career in Falmouth, including a long run leading the Doors as president. He has done it all for the team, and nobody has given more than Chuck.
Good to see the first pitch efforts being done there. Cliff Pennington out there. May or may not hear from him later on in this broadcast.
Little plug there.
But as we get ready to go for the Commodores taking the field first, a good look at the lineup for the new skipper of the Chatham A's, taking over now in Marty Lees. Here's his 1 through 9.
You've got a lot of talent in this order throughout, but really want to focus at the top. That first out's going to be massive.
Now you look at the mound, it's going to be Michael Barnett, the righty out of UCLA. Pretty good numbers through his first couple of starts here on the Cape.
Yeah, his last outing was spectacular. 5 innings pitched, gave up just 1 unearned run at Orleans in that win in the weird game. There was a fog delay. Bazana hit for the cycle. It was a weird one, but he's been solid. He works with sinker, slider, changeup type mix. The changeup's really good, and that sinker has some good arm side run to it as well.
3 strikeouts in each of his starts so far, at least that number. Behind him, everyone else lined up for Jeff Trundy today. A couple of Beavers out in the outfield with Travis Bazana and Gavin Turley in the corners. John Spikerman's been the remote center fielder as of late. Luke Heyman in the interchanging, he's behind the plate. With that infield left to right looking pretty identical to what we've seen over the course of the last several games. With Barnett on the mound. Good look at Tyler McGregor there. Taking in some infield here. Good number again, gathered at the Gov today. There the Chatham A's trying to get off the schneid a little bit. 7-16-1 to this point. That's dead last right now in the East Division. 15 points gathered for the Chatham A's over 24 games now. And those poor Chatham A's are going to play 20 baseball games over the last 19 days of the season.
I think it's like 24 or 25. It's insane how many games they have left to go. Actually, it's 21 games that they have left because they're playing game 25 tonight. And so going to try and get themselves going and try and get that going. I know that's not correct math as Gabe is looking at me over there from the scoreboard spot. Don't worry about me. That's why I'm a journalism major, right?
Well, their broadcaster, Andrew, was telling us that it's some crazy number. That's all I know. I thought I recalled 20, but some big number like that.
There are 20 games left in their
Correct.
season, yes.
But Michael Barnett now will take on J.J. Weatherholt. We highlighted him at the top of the broadcast, rejoining the Chatham A's this season after leaving briefly to go to Team USA. Very, very capable is Weatherholt. That's why he was there, playing with guys like Charlie Conning, Jace Lavalette, Deuce Gorson, some Commodores. But now as we get going at 6:03, the first pitch off the plate from Barnett. Falling behind 1-0 here as we're just underway at 6:04 p.m. here from Arnie Allen Diamond. Tried to tempt him with that same offering on the outer third. Weatherholt out of West Virginia. We talked about his accolades at the top of the broadcast, but slugged 16 home runs, 42 extra bases on that number as well, 60 RBIs. I mean, he just did it all for the Mountaineers there in the Big 12.
Yeah, the best average by a Power 5 player since 2008 when Buster Posey hit .463 at Florida State.
His on-base percentage is pretty darn good, too, at .517 at school this year. Shows you why right there. Didn't have to work too hard for that one, but it's a free pass on the first 4 pitches. Already some work here for Barnett in the early stages of the ball game.
And leadoff base runners can really kill you. That's what we saw yesterday with the Doors. Things started to slip away when they allowed Katuitt to get guys on early and often in innings as the game went on, and the Kettleers made him pay.
The Aggie, Caden Kent, in there from the left side. Couple of fastballs here from the UCLA righty, and just hasn't found the zone just yet.
Yeah, he's got to settle himself in. That's 5 pitches to start. None of them have found the zone. That's less than ideal.
Kent was trying to maybe get something down there, pulled it away wisely. We've seen 6 pitches, and all of them have not found the zone, according to Jeff Merzell.
Yeah, he's just trying to get in the head of the pitcher. When he shows bunt there, it'd be really surprising if he actually stays and lays it down. He just wants to give them something else to think about.
And there's the first one on the 2-0 count, zipping that 2-seam pitch in there. Middle looked like to Luke Heyman, the Florida Gator behind the plate. He came in as a late substitution yesterday, played some first base. But again, a full day of festivities here at the Gov. It was a lot of fun to participate. Some jumbo size Connect 4 and Jenga and the dunk tank and 25-cent hot dogs. Probably the best deal, the best get for sure.
Yeah, that'll take you back 100 years in terms of the prices there. Definitely like that.
That's true. We went back in time today with that. Barnett trying to not lose another batter here, 3-1. And it's not close. Now Luke Heyman wants to go have a chat. First couple of offerings here. Only one strike on the first 9 from Barnett. Very, very different than what we saw in that game last time out against Orleans. Arguably his best start on the summer. Those 5 innings. Season high.
Yeah, and he didn't walk anybody in that game.
Had 4 against the Gatemen. That was really the only reason in that win, 11-5, that the Gatemen early on were still in that ball game, Zach.
A couple of errors in there, too, that allowed some runs to come across.
Only 3 of those 5 runs given up were earned to the line of Barnett, as you mentioned that. But Xavier Casarella, the first batter to start behind in the count. Good response from Barnett after the mound visit. J.J. Weatherholt there, not threatening too much at the bag at second. A couple of walks here to begin the ball game. Have the Chatham A's set up here. Fastball outer third. Stayed there, it's 1-1. We mentioned Jeff Merzel. He's behind the plate. Mike Lum down at first. Keith Peterson, third base umpire today here at the Gov. Pretty good slider there, just a little far off the plate to Casarella. That 4-1 loss, the Doors saw Chatham for the very first time this season. Casarella, 2-run home run in that game. Also robbed Joe Redfield of a solo shot himself.
Casarella only has 3 RBIs this season, and 2 of them were in that game on that one swing, as you mentioned. But now in the middle slot of the order, he's got a chance to drive in some more for a Chatham team that, as we've talked about a little bit, has been struggling for runs as of late.
Meanwhile, the Doors trying to find the first out here against Casarella. The offering is cut on and missed. 1 away.
That's the way you bounce back. Because at the end of the day, after the struggles, he's a ground ball away from potentially being out of this inning.
The next man to bat, Nolan Schubert, the Cowboy out of Stillwater in the box now. The Doors have seen him in every one of the outings that they've seen the Chatham A's in. He's been a staple out there in left. First pitch swing, he got a lot of this one to straightaway center, and Spikerman will watch it fly. The free passes lead to a Schubert 3-run jack. RBIs 9, 10, and 11. And the Cowboy makes it a 3 spot for the A's here in the first.
And that's why you set yourself up for trouble when you walk a couple hitters early. Because then not only do you put yourself with traffic on the base paths, you feel like you have to throw the ball over the heart of the plate to get yourself going, and when you throw it over the heart of the plate, damage gets done.
Just a second long ball in the year, sporting a 211 average this summer prior to that big cut. At school, though, 338 hitter.
He can definitely swing it.
That one got out of here in a hurry. Currently, our TrackMan stuff is down right now, but I'd love to know the numbers. I mean, the wind's blowing in just a little bit from center, but that thing didn't struggle at all to jump off the baseball bat. Big wave and a miss here. Chris Maldonado is behind 0-2. A Commodore in the box, but with Vanderbilt. 310 hitter was Maldonado this year. With Barnett now out of the stretch with nobody on, it's a chopper weekly. And Martin kicks it into the outfield. And if Maldonado was looking, I think he could have been at second.
Probably. That's a really tough play. The shift left a big hole on the left side of second base, and Martin tried to cross the bag to get to it, but just unable to. And this is a dream start for Chatham. Can't ask for much more from the Anglers early in this game.
The line continues for Aiden Miala, who probably wants to forget about the last time he was here at the Gov. Had an injury in the 4th inning. Collided with Schubert, the big swing we saw just a second ago. It was a routine pop fly into shallow left center, and the natural shortstop position obviously takes you out into shallow left center to make that kind of a play. Schubert and Miala just collided. Took him out of the game. You hate to see that. Good to see him okay. Gavin Keelan was rewarded with the double, a game that he had 3 of them. That one, obviously one of the more unconventional doubles you'd probably ever write up, but I wouldn't even call that a mental mistake. It's just a weird situation that led to Keelan standing at second, but more importantly, unfortunately, the injury to Miala.
Yeah, it never is a good spot when you end up in a situation colliding with somebody, and these guys don't play with each other that often. They're in a spot at different fields and everything. Yes, these two, in Miala and Schubert, both at Oklahoma State, but you really just don't want to see a situation like that.
We just saw Chris Maldonado standing at first, extending his primary lead just a little bit. Barnett has allowed 4 of the first 5 that he's seen to reach. That's a big wave and a miss there for the second strikeout. Both outs this inning acquired by the right hand of Michael Barnett. That's out number 2.
We're going to talk about it more in the other bottom half of this inning, but you really need to keep this at 3 because as good as the Falmouth offense has been, Gabe Davis is on the other side, and he's been as good as anybody in this league so far this summer.
We'll talk about it more later, but Davis, last time he saw Falmouth, 4 perfect innings. And part of a stretch that the Doors were 19 up, 19 down at Veterans Field. The first of now our 3 trips over there to Chatham. We went there just a couple of days ago. Had the fog cancellation, so the game got moved to our off day, which is now not an off day, July 18th. So we'll come back there on the road. Always fun to go to Chatham. It is a little bit of a hike from here to get there, but the town and the vibe by the beach, I mean, it's a really nice, quaint area. A hot spot for tourists, no doubt about
Definitely.
it. Definitely.
It's very busy.
Barnett trying to escape the pitch. That's a good one there. Fastball outer third. Barnett gets 3 strikeouts, also gives up a 3-run shot, all in the first inning. And the Chatham A's on the road have a really, really good start here with Falmouth bats coming up on the other side of the break. Good look at Gabe Davis getting his warm-up tosses in here. But before we talk about him, here are the Commodores who are going to try to do one better than the last time they saw the righty out of Chatham.
Well, they're going to have to do more than just one better at this point, trailing by 3 early, and this is a lineup that's been hitting really well. You've got Bazzana, you've got Cade Snell, you've got Gavin Keelan. Top to bottom, this order is really, really strong and has been swinging good bats. Even with yesterday's game not being their best, if you take this stretch, they've still won 10 of 13 for a reason.
Good enough to be number 2 in the Cape League power rankings this morning. That was a nice sight to see. Very deserving, as you mentioned. But Gabe Davis has single-handedly been the best overall player, I'd say, for this Chatham group that's otherwise had a really down year.
Yeah, the ERA is outstanding. .93. He has just continued to get the job done. He's fired strikes. He hasn't allowed base runners, and he's done the job.
4 innings of perfect baseball on June 24th at Veterans Field against these Commodores. Only run he's given up this season was in an effort on June 30th at Harwich. An 8-1 win for the Anglers. The other Anglers in the field, we've talked about the outfield of Xavier Casarella making some plays out there in right. Jaden Melendez catching the balls and strikes. And Miola, again, good to see him healthy here at the Gov. Instead of shortstop, he's at the hot corner. And that's how it lines up for Marty Lees, the acting manager now, in place of Tom Holliday. Leaving for health concerns. We wish Tom Holliday nothing but the best. And now as this ball game begins for the Falmouth Bats, Spike takes that one off the plate. It's a real good arm, as we talked about. Just one walk surrendered by Davis. One of the many Oklahoma State Cowboys. Every time these two teams match up, we just got to talk about it. I mean, they've just got Stillwater running through both dugouts.
They really do. You see a ton of those Cowboys, and that goes to show, in a big way, how good of a program they have out there.
Haven't seen a whole lot of them recently in terms of, you know, broadcasting collegiate games for us when we're in the regular season. The Sun Devils did a home and home with them, so saw them, I believe it was 2 seasons ago. And the football team, too, home and home for Arizona State. Cowboys will be in Tempe early part of the season in the non-conference schedule. That should be real fun.
Davis has a fastball. He also has a really good slider. He's thrown 5 fastballs so far.
Went with one there, and Spikerman got enough of it to send it straight back. John yesterday went 0 for 5, ended his 4-game hit streak. But even with that in mind, I mean, John Spikerman's been really, really good of late. Staple mark at the top of the order, and he fights off another one here. 17 for 71 is the Sooner you see there right on your screen in center field tonight for Jeff Trundy. His lone long ball a couple nights ago in Wareham in that big win for the Doors. And another pitch, another foul ball. We keep going.
It's a really good battle. Already seen himself 7 pitches, now 8 pitches, and he's going to continue to fight.
Pitch number 9 in this full count. And Gabe Davis is going to win the battle. He strikes him out.
Yeah, we saw Chatham throwing the ball around the horn quite a bit at Veterans Field. They struck out 16 Commodores in that game, and Gabe Davis picking up right where he left off.
That he is, with Bazana stepping in there now. First one stays away from Bazana, the Oregon State Beaver. The hottest Commodore, no doubt about it, surging in this offensive order for the Doors is Bazana, currently riding an 11-game hit streak. His average has skyrocketed all the way up to 343. That's 4th on the team right now. Still needs enough at-bats for it to officially qualify. That one helps because it's going to get down into left. No, it's not. What a play. McDonald takes away a hit for a very emphatic second out here in the first.
Everything's counting up Anglers early. Had a good battle by Spikerman. Ended in a punch-out. Good swing by Bazana, ends in and out, and Chatham's already got 3 on the board.
Those efforts, we've seen a couple of them when Gabe Davis has pitched against the Commodores. You look back at Joe Redfield's, what should have been a home run out there and right, a great play by Xavier Casarella. He's already tough to crack out there on the mound, but when you get gold glove plays like that in the field, it makes it that much more frustrating. So as you mentioned, really good couple of at-bats, but 2 out and nobody on for Falmouth. With the third baseman, the Raging Cajun, Kyle DeBarge, trying to change this little bit of momentum that the A's have gathered here at the Gov.
You want to try and rally with 2 outs here in this spot because you always have a chance to do so, and this team has the ability to keep the train moving and get some runs. But something that they did yesterday a lot when they did get base runners, and the same thing in a couple of their losses earlier this year, when they do get their base runners, they get them with 2 outs. And then you're making yourself no room for error to try and score runs instead of trying to get base runners early like what we just saw with Chatham.
Fastball low and away, just barely got the zone. Jeff Merzell giving that call to Gabe Davis. Merzell, former umpire of the year here in the Cape League, very well respected there behind the plate. We always like when we get games with him behind the dish calling the balls and strikes. The offering could be played there in foul territory. Just gets foul. You can see the good crowd here gathered with lawn chairs there along the right field line before the whole bleachers that you start to see in your screen now. There's a large number of fans here on what's otherwise been a pretty muggy day here, even with the 100-year celebration. All those activities took place in right field beyond the fence. Probably can't see any of what's left of it over there. I do see the dunk tank, though. And a very favorable call here for the strike 3. A very long one on it. Thought DeBarge was going to get on there to first. Not the case here. A strikeout looking. Sends Falmouth down in order 1, 2, 3. All Chatham here early on. We'll be right back.
The Falmouth Commodores merch shop is the one place to go for all your Commodores merchandise. Check out our full collection of hats, including the official game hats of the Commodores, along with shirts of all kinds. And for those colder nights, don't worry, we've got you covered with hoodies and jackets. We've even got bats, balls, pins, and more for all your collecting needs. Speaking of collecting, this year the Commodores are celebrating their 100th year with plenty of Centennial merchandise. The Commodores merch shop is the one place to get your 100th year gear. All the Centennial merchandise is while supplies last, so make sure to get it before it's gone. And hey, you never know who you'll find when you stop in. And there's always something to tip your hat to. Come say hi to us under the press box behind home plate before we close up shop in the 9th. And as always, roll doors.
Zach, when we were getting ready for this broadcast, there were a couple of players at the second base position that really stood out for us. Funny enough, they're both not playing second base today, but 2 of the best second basemen in the country head-to-head today.
Yeah, they were outstanding. First team All-American in Weatherholt, second team for Bazana, and they both do it all. Defensively, they're outstanding. On the base paths, 36 bags apiece. You look at the average, they're both up near 400 or over it. A ton of extra base hits, ton of home runs. These guys do damage every time they come up to the plate.
Pick your poison. No wrong choice there between J.J. Weatherholt and Travis Bazana, who a lot of folks think could be the first overall pick as soon as next season out there in the Pac-12. I know him real well out there at the Sun Devils.
And you got Weatherholt, a guy that is the favorite to win the Golden Spikes arguably next year as well.
Was a semifinalist for that award, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast. But after that eventful inning from the Chatham A's, already 8-9-1 due up to take on Michael Barnett here, who's looking to settle himself down a little bit after the 2 walks to lead off the ball game. And then after a strikeout to Xavier Casarella, first pitch from Schubert was sent over the center field wall. This one here, playable for Luke Heyman, and the catcher makes the play for the first out.
It's a good bounce back. You need a bounce back inning if you're Barnett. You can score 3 runs if you're Falmouth more often than not when this offense comes to the field, but you need to keep it as close as possible and allow yourself to feel like you're in this game.
The Florida Gator in the gear just made the play there in the pop out to the catcher. There's a Florida Gator in the batter's box now, and Derek Fabian. Nice pitch there. Good spot from Barnett. Back-to-back counts with hitters starting 0-1. Could look back to McDonald's retiring there in the first. Would make it 3 consecutive. Seems like Barnett's find himself out there in a little bit of a groove. Runs this slider off the plate. Only 22 games, 10 starts for Fabian this year in Gainesville. 289 hitter for the runner-ups in the college baseball season this year. A blooper out into left. Cutting it off, a nice play by Bazana. That one was approaching the gap. He makes the play for the second out.
He got a really good jump on it. That's a guy that's not normally an outfielder and got a very good jump and was able to run that one down because I don't know that Spikerman would have got to it.
I mean, that's the gap. I mean, you look at where those guys are playing typically before the pitch starts. Got to have speed. We know Spikerman's got it, but as you mentioned, that's a real tough play for a center fielder to make. And now back to the top. J.J. Weatherholt. We mentioned 4 for 11 before going to Team USA. Went there, did very well, and now comes back. In his return yesterday was 1 for 4 in the win for the Chatham A's. Got under this one as Spikerman cruises there. Not under it by much. Out there in left center, and some decent contact in the inning. But the A's go 1-2-3. Falmouth gets a chance of their own in the second, but before that, we hear about Cape Cod Healthcare with Destiny Sanchez.
Cape Cod Healthcare is proud to be the official healthcare sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League. When you need to be seen quickly for minor illness or injury, Cape Cod Healthcare Urgent Care offers a convenient and cost-effective treatment option with 6 locations across Cape Cod from Falmouth to Orleans. Open daily with no appointment needed and staffed by board-certified ER providers. View wait times at capecodhealth.org. Cape Cod Healthcare Urgent Care, minor emergencies, major attention. You're watching Falmouth Commodores Baseball.
We mentioned that Zach was in the dunk tank earlier today. I took it to the test and wasn't impressed.
Yeah, I was making you hear it. I was a little up, and it was. And the next one didn't get much better, stayed up. I think all 3 stayed up, right?
Yeah, they were all up. My excuse is that baseballs are a little bit heavier, and that one just was a little loose on me. And, wow.
It's okay. Plenty of other people got me all day long.
Speaking that there were children half my height knocking that target down without a problem makes me reconsider. But maybe, it's for the better that I'm up here and not down on the field.
Exactly. It was fun, though. I enjoyed that. It was cool. Get to interact with everybody and enjoy it and see the kids have a blast sending me into some water. It actually felt pretty good on the day like today. It was really hot out.
Well, I think I would trust Gabe Davis and Michael Barnett's chances at being able to knock that down.
Oh, yeah.
McGregor with a rip to first and on one hop. Kent will do it himself, 1 away.
Hasn't seemed as dominant as it did the last time that Gabe Davis took on the Falmouth order, but he's still cruising. Still 4 up, 4 down, even though there have been some good swings so far from the doors.
Prior to that sharp hit ball there by McGregor, I was going to say we saw Garrett Coe get into the dunk tank.
We did.
So some of the players were in on the fun as well, signing autographs and taking pictures with fans. I mean, it was a really cool experience. And right there, another rip by Cade Snell, who now has a 12-game hit streak. He's reached every single time that he's had the uniform and been in the starting lineup for Falmouth.
Yeah, 15 straight games since joining the squad. He's going to soon start to qualify for the league leaders in average, and he's going to hop in there pretty quickly. Bazana just qualified today. He's now second in the league in average. You've got these guys that have been hitting well that joined the team late. during the start of this hot streak that you're going to start to see all up and down the league leaderboards.
I think we're going to see Snell in a week from today at Harwich. White House Field for the All-Star game, the way he's been going. Nice slider here to the Florida Gator, Luke Heyman.
I think there's a good shot at it. Just going to depend on whether he qualifies.
Even if he doesn't, put him as a reserve. I don't know. It's something.
Well, you got to qualify to be an all-star.
Heyman trying to deposit one down the line, and he will. It kind of dies out there and right. He's got to stay at first. Good speed from Cade Snell, and now the Doors are in business. They're on the corners with one away.
This is the response you needed. You got that bounce back 0 from Michael Barnett. Now you can go to work. If you're able to bring in runs here, cut into this, and just start to chop wood, chop away in this deficit. You've got a lot of baseball left to be played.
Very quietly, Luke Heyman up to 5 hits so far with Falmouth. Entered today with a .235 average since joining, but he's been working some good swings as well. Had just one hitting appearance yesterday, and that late substitution was 0 for 1 with the walk. But I've been real impressed with what the Gators done since coming in.
He's looking good, and he's picking himself back up after, you mentioned, a bit of a slower start through the first few games that he played, but he's working good at bats and swinging it well.
Gavin Keelan into left. A diving effort and another play that actually gets down. A really good effort by Schubert. Keelan gets into second. It's an RBI double for Gavin Keelan. He loves playing these Chatham A's. He had 3 of doubles last time he saw them, and another one here in the second.
Yeah, he had 4 hits in that game, 3 doubles. That guy just, 1, is a very good baseball player, and he swings it really well, but 2, he just finds those gaps.
The fact that that ball for a second, we didn't know if it got down or not. Luke Heyman was still able to go first to third.
Yeah, he probably would have been doubled up if that ball was caught.
I mean, this Chatham defensive set of players out in the outfield, whether it's Lyle Miller-Green, who's now not with the team anymore, but it doesn't matter who they line up out there. It's always something you have to keep in mind. But now Gavin Turley will step in. There's Heyman and Keelan behind him, extending their primary leads into a walking one. The infield favoring the left side here. There's a shift on Turley as he takes that one off the plate for a 1-1. The corners are relatively in on the grass. Miola is actually deep at third. It's the first baseman, Kent, who's in on the grass. Everyone else, a heavy shift to the left side. Big cut and a miss there from Turley. Makes it 1-2.
Power here with Turley and Davis.
Came into the bottom of the 8th yesterday after Tab Tracy worked a leadoff walk in the bottom of the 8th inning. Had a really good swing in the 9th. Thought it was going to be a double off the wall. Just an incredible play. Up against the fence, and the outfield took away extra bases from Turley.
This is a spot where they have done really well as of late, and we've talked about it a lot, Matt. Have to be productive in here. Put the ball in play.
There's some big runs out there. For Falmouth here, Davis trying to tightrope the situation. Good take there off the plate. Similar spot to the Kyle DeBarge looking strikeout in the first. But it is tough as a hitter being down in the order to see that pitch called for a strike. When you're up there, it's probably looking a lot more tempting than you would think. Another good take by Gavin, and now it's full.
Davis tried to go right back to that same spot and tempt him, as you mentioned, Matt, but he kind of yanked it and pulled it further out. It's a big pitch.
A lot of speed out there. Base hit would certainly tie this ball game. Open base, though, for Davis to work with. And it's down. Really, really good at-bat from Gavin Turley. And now the 9-man. Not an everyday 9-man, though. It's Christian Martin. Hit .350 this year at school. Got a massive chance here in the bottom of the second.
Yeah, he's towards the top of the team in RBIs. He's got 11. He can add to it here with a hit. But going back to Turley, that's now his 7th walk that he's worked on this summer. He's yet to come through with his first hit, but he's working good at bats as of late, and he shows it again there, battling all the way back to get to first.
First pitch swinging. Goes foul down the right field line. Average has taken a little bit of a dip for Christian Martin to this point in the year. Coming in slugging .222 on that number, 16 hits and 72 tries. Martin's been here since opening day. Got to see him traditionally at second this season. This one nearly ran in and got him. Heyman will come in standing up, and they will say that it gets Martin. So it's not a wild pitch, but the same effect. It brings in a run, and Falmouth has put up 2 here in the second.
You know, it's never fun to take one and get hit, but when you get an RBI for it, it feels a lot better.
That he does. Heyman comes in to score. We saw him. I think he knew that he got plunked by it. Wasn't really charging in all that much.
And Chatham hits a lot of batters. I mean, they're 9th in the league in hit batters. That's the 35th batter plunked by this pitching staff on the season. I mean, when you're at that point, you're looking at over 1 a game, almost up to 1.5 hit batters a game on the average.
Between all the different metrics of walks and hit batters, just self-inflicting, this Chatham team up there in the top 4 in all those different numbers. Hits, though, they're 8th. They don't give up too many hits with some of these pitchers. A lot of that has to do with the guy on the mound here who has been rattled a little bit here. Spikerman tried to take that into the dunk tank with that swing. Nothing in 1.
The other part on the pure hits numbers and pure runs numbers and all that is, with all the fog outs and stuff, Chatham's played a lot less games than anybody else. I mean, this is just game 25 for Chatham. It's game 29 for the Doors.
Spikerman got jammed on it, and that's not as routine of a play as Miola made it look. That's a big second out.
That hurts, but brings up Bazana in a big spot, and there isn't anybody else in this lineup, and arguably isn't anybody else, or at the very least isn't many other people on the Cape that you'd want in this position.
Big spot for the Doors, trying to find the equalizer and maybe a little bit more. First pitch swinging, and it's sent foul.
The first AB, if you remember back to that first inning, was a really good swing from Bazana. He roped one into the gap in left center. It was just McDonald coming over to make a really nice play to take that hit away from him.
I would take that same result again. Chopper foul. A couple of good pitches by Gabe Davis to set his team up for a 1 strike away to escape this jam. Going to be pitch number 40 already for Davis coming up. And right now, Marty Lees thinks that ball should have been a fair ball.
I think Jeff Merzel's saying it hit off of Bazana's foot.
It definitely sounded like it.
Yeah, Bazana's pointing down. He's saying it hit off my foot and went up.
Massive pitch and a massive spot here with it being the second inning here. 2 home for the Doors in the inning, and the pitch popped into foul ground. Miola might not have a play, and it'll be a souvenir.
And that's a spot where he stopped himself in front of the crowd. Yesterday we saw Kyle DeBarge kind of keep going and run through, but it was ruled out of play because you run out of room down there.
Also saw a couple of drinks explode yesterday on
We did.
a foul ball.
We did. That was tough for him. I hope he got that foul ball. Maybe it'll make him feel a little better.
Could be stained a red color, maybe like some Powerade or something like
Ooh.
that. Now that's quite the souvenir.
Yeah. It
Big
gives you a
spot.
story.
Big spot for both sides. It's a good take in the dirt. Good tempting pitch there from Davis.
And a really good block by Melendez, because if that ball gets away, we're tied. Especially with the speed and aggressiveness of Keelan at third.
Fastball yanked it down at the shoelaces of Bazana, and from 0-2, it's evened up here in the second. 2 outs, 2-2 from Davis out of the wind. Deep drive into right. It's a grand slam for Bazana. who comes up big for the Doors here in the second.
I said there aren't many guys that you'd want up in that type of situation on the Cape, and Bazana comes through once again.
The hottest hitter, on Cape Cod, Travis Bazana, launches that one into right. 4 RBIs on that total with the grand slam swing. The second on the summer for the Commodores. And that one was a no-doubter. It got out of here in a hurry. And it's a 6-run second inning for Falmouth.
That's the response you needed in a spot against a guy in Gabe Davis who had been outstanding.
Working very quickly as Davis, after that launch right there, had nothing in 2. A chopper and through. The carousel continues for the Doors here in the second. DeBarge has his first hit.
What a flip from that first inning where Chatham scored 3 runs and then went 1-2-3 in the bottom half. Did the Doors. Gabe Davis had extended his perfect streak against Falmouth to 5 innings dating back to last start. And then you flip the script.
McGregor began the inning with a 1-0 sharp ground ball out to first base. Kent put it away very quickly. And since then, chaos has ensued for Gabe Davis and the Chatham A's. A team that has given up the second most runs on Cape Cod, 154 plus 6 now. Makes it 160. It's a big breaking ball in there to McGregor to even up the count. But wow, what a response, as you mentioned, Zach, to not waste any time on Gabe Davis and these Anglers. Backdoor slider stays down there.
Was such a pivotal spot for Bazana in a situation where you had the base loaded with 1 out, down by a run, and you popped out in Spikerman, and so then you're setting yourself up for a chance for Chatham to get out of the inning, and Bazana got down 0-2, battled back, and then did the damage.
It was a 2-2 count, and as you mentioned, it was 0-2 in that situation. Wild pitch there, moves up to Barge to second. More damage could come through here for Falmouth. And it's going to be a looking strikeout from McGregor. He'll go back to the dugout, but not before the Falmouth Commodores, with the help of a grand slam from Travis Bazana, hang 6 on one of the Cape League's best starting pitchers. It's all Doors early here at the Gov.
Do your kids have big league dreams? Do they want to learn from the stars of tomorrow? Then check out the Falmouth Commodores Summer Baseball Clinics, where kids from the ages of 5 to 14 can hone their skills in pitching, hitting, fielding, and catching with help from the best college players in the nation. The clinics run from June to late July, and the 6 4-day sessions are divided by age group and experience level. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Give your kids a summer of baseball and a lifetime of memories.
Go Doors!
Travis Bazana's big swing now has the Doors out in front here at Arnie Allen Diamond. That didn't always look like the way it does as you saw there, that long home run into right appears to be a couple of structures out there that certainly are not there anymore in 2023.
Well, and this is the old field, too. This is over at Falmouth Heights Beach. This was the original 1923 field that the Doors played at before moving here in 1946.
Looks very different than 1946, I should say. But yes,
It does.
the different trips and memories and historic facts of this ball club, it's cool to look back on.
It is, and this park looks very different than 2019. Started renovations here in 2021 and have really done some good stuff. It's turned into a beautiful ballpark.
Sharp line drive right at John Spikerman for the first out.
You know, I said earlier in this game that everything was coming up. Anglers, well, it certainly isn't anymore, and that swing right there shows it. It was a rope, but it just hung up long enough, and Spikerman was right on it.
Very relieving probably for Michael Barnett, too, to get out there immediately after a really good inning worked in the second. 1-2-3, he sent Chatham down, and then for the Doors to respond, not only to take him off the hook per se in terms of right now the way it stands, but now to be in line for a victory and to have a big effort like that. It's what this offense has done during this stretch of games. Averaging over 11 runs, or rather, over 7 runs per game, over 11 hits per outing during this 13-game stretch. First strike of the at-bat there, chopped right at the home plate area from Casarella. Struck out for the first out of the inning back in the first, and then the guy on deck put one over the center field wall. Not sure where that one missed, given the couple that we've seen on that part of the plate.
Well, Marzell immediately said something to Luke Heyman right after.
And that one's going to miss just off the plate, it appears, on the fastball. It's a walk for Casarella. The third surrendered by Barnett already. I don't know. I wonder what that conversation could have been about there, Zach.
I mean, we can't see Heyman's point of view. He probably asked a question more likely than not. Just asking where it was, and Marzell was probably explaining. My guess on the breaking ball is he was saying it broke around the plate.
So now it's Nolan Schubert. Ended a stretch of 4 consecutive without a hit by putting one over the center field wall back in the first. That made it 3-0 for the Anglers, but as you can see, very different ball game since the last time number 35 in blue was in the batter's box. Picked up a handful of RBIs on that swing as well. Just his second home run on the summer. Chops this one straight through his wickets there. 1-1. But again, a really good response so far from Michael Barnett. Been accustomed to seeing that from him in his outings here with Falmouth. Change up there, stays a little low. It's a friendly hitter's count now to Schubert.
Schubert can swing it. We talked about his numbers at Oklahoma State. He was outstanding in high school, super highly touted recruit, an All-American at Orchard Lake St. Mary's up in Michigan. That team was a powerhouse. They had a ton of Division I talent. They had Brock Porter, who was one of the best prep arms going into the draft last year, picked up by the Texas Rangers. That team was loaded. They lost one game between Schubert's junior and senior seasons.
East Lansing local, Zach Serdenik with the high school baseball report out of Michigan. But a lot of talent up there in the Midwest, no doubt about it. Pitch in the dirt. And it actually appears to have gotten Schubert there as it redirected out of the reach of Luke Heyman. So back-to-back have reached, and just like that, the tying runs in the box.
And it's a situation where Barnett's going to have to find his way out of it, because scoring all those runs like that, if you give the lead right back up, it can be really deflating in a situation.
Especially in that situation, partner, where you've got 2 strikes worked already.
Yeah.
You're 1 pitch away from whether it be a strikeout or finding a way to get a second out. Double play ball in order. It still is, but, you know, those things come to mind. Fastball pretty much at the belt there. Nice offering. Called for a strike. Chris Maldonado. Base hit for him last time. Good start to the ball game for him. Casarella stands there at second. Maldonado in the box. The Commodore from Vanderbilt takes that one off the outer third, but it's still in there for a strike.
He had a real good year at Vandy. He was in the lineup quite a bit for them, mainly at DH, but hit over 300, over 400 on the on-base percentage.
He at least thought about that one. Tried to work him backwards there, did Barnett. With the fastball there off the outer third. Both starting pitchers getting up there with their pitch counts right now. Barnett about to toss number 49 through just 2 1/3 innings. It's a big breaking ball. Got a lot of plate on that one. But it was still chopped foul by Maldonado.
Neither bullpen moving, though. So the pitch count's getting up, but these skippers trust their arms.
And you mentioned it, too, with the lack of games that this Chatham team has played. I'm sure they've got plenty of arms compared to Falmouth, who's now in Game 5 of 11 straight.
But on the flip side, Chatham has a ton of those games in a row.
Good result there on that one off the outer third. A real good slider from Barnett. Strikeout number 4. That's his first one with the batter looking, and a big second out. Now Aiden Miola was one of the strikeout victims. The second on the day for Barnett. Was a part of a stretch of 2 consecutive between Miola and Zach McDonald, who awaits on deck. Couple of A's out there for Miola in this RBI spot. Another one of those Oklahoma State Cowboys in the box. You see his bright orange batting gloves there. Some protective wear of that color as well. Slider stays away. Evens the count.
You get the red there that makes it Chatham, but you see the orange and then that blue. You got Hyannis type look.
Looks like Luke Heyman and Aiden Miola are on the same team, given the gear that they both are wearing here. Made him think about it on that slider running away. Hitter-friendly count again. A couple of them surrendered by Barnett. But the important thing still with the lead right now are the doors. Really good crowd gathered here for this Centennial celebration game on July the 15th. Fastball driven into right. Kind of hung on Gavin Turley for just a little bit there at the end. But he makes the play running away from the field of play. Couple get on for the A's, but they're stranded by Michael Barnett and the Falmouth Commodores, who come back up to work, trying to extend the lead. We'll be right back.
Do you think that talking to people and not telling them that you're on the mic is like being in a car with someone calling someone and not telling them you're on speaker?
Are you macked up?
You already know, Big Bama.
Macked up, baby. Macked up. Believe it.
Mocked up with Big Bama.
Yeah.
Oi, Walker! I actually can't believe you did that. We won't talk about what he did, but he ruined my back grip. Oh, on the road? Who is this guy? Get this man a contract. 33 for the Commodores. Tyler McGregor. Find out about him. Sometimes I hit myself. I don't know, I've just seen Michael Phelps do it a little bit before he races. Makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Take it with. Oh, out. Uh-huh. Hey.
Bottom of the third inning, ready to go here at Gov Fuller Field. Matt Venezia, Zach Serdenik, Destiny Sanchez bringing it to you today. Really good effort by the Falmouth Commodores to this point in the game. Big 6-run inning in the second, pacing the offense to this point.
And it really started with Cade Snell. Got himself going with that hit, and then from 5 all the way to 9, everybody reached.
That's right. Cade Snell extending his hitting streak to 12 games. Took him one at-bat in this ball game. Took him his final at-bat last night to do it.
And a little bit of luck in that as well.
That's
that was
right.
probably an out if not for the lights in center field getting in the way.
Snell goes down looking on this one. Gabe Davis, to his credit, comes right back. Picks up a strikeout.
He's got 4 punch-outs. 3 of them are looking.
I haven't really minded a couple of those except for the one on DeBarge. That ended the inning for Falmouth back in the first.
Yeah, the one McGregor took to end that second inning kind of looked like he just wasn't expecting the breaking ball, froze him, and dropped right in.
That one trying to drop in there in the inside third to Heyman. Left it there. Hitters count here to the Gator. Good numbers again. Had himself a single last time. Adjusting himself here, but it goes on to the shortstop. Got the hands inside, but a routine ground ball there for the second out.
Yeah, tried to put it back up the middle on that inside pitch. Just couldn't get enough on it to push it out.
Got the green light on a 2-0. Looked like a really good adjustment, though, nonetheless. The shift was on. Big cut there by Gavin Keelan for the first strike of the at-bat.
And we'll see what Keelan can do with himself again in this at-bat, trying to continue to add to the hot streak against this Chatham team. Look out, though.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes right there by Gavin Keelan.
Yeah, it comes in quick, and want to protect those ankles. That's never a spot you want to get hit.
Fastball up and away there. Another friendly hitter's opportunity here for Keelan. Had the double. Drove in a run for Gavin on that really good effort there in left from Schubert. McDonald gave chase as well. Couldn't tell at first if the ball was caught or not. All looks the same, though, on these scorecards, whether it was one down the line or one like that.
And he had that happen in the last game, too. Got credit for the double on the collision.
That's right.
With Miola and Schubert.
3-1. Nowhere near on the fastball. And the Cardinal out of Louisville works his way on.
There was just one walk all summer from Gabe Davis. He's already walked 2 Commodores tonight.
Certainly an outlier, I would say, is this ball game compared to everything we've seen. I mean, the numbers earlier were very accurate at .93 ERA, very lively.
Can't get much better than that as a starter in this league. With all the bats that they've got in every lineup right now.
This one gets off the glove Should probably be a pass ball on that one. Allows Gavin Keelan to move on. Looking at our score, Gabe Gross here. He's giving me the 50-50 on that one. We'll see what he decides to make the official tally.
It was a little bit out. He had to pull him for it, but
I think I make that play.
I don't know that you're seeing 95-96.
It could be 85. We don't have TrackMan up right now.
Yeah, trust me, it's not 85.
This one gets down, though. Heads up base running from Gavin Keelan. That one will be a pass ball. The first one ruled a wild pitch. A couple of situations here behind the plate. Now I have Gavin Keelan standing at third.
And this is how you do damage with a situation where you get a 2-out base runner to start. You can move them all the way around to third. A base hit or even another wild pitch adds to that lead. And that's what you want to continue to do. You fought back, you got back in front, and then you got yourself in a tough spot in the last inning, but you got out of it unscathed.
Slider here off the plate. This time, Melendez keeps it in front of him.
And that slider is wicked from Gabe Davis, but he doesn't seem to have it tonight, which is probably a big part in the struggles for him because that's his best pitch by far.
A check down to first. Mike Lum says Turley did go.
Yeah, right as I say he doesn't have it, that was a pretty good one. Just wipe out movement away from the bat of Turley.
Gavin worked a walk last time. The pitch here, deposited into left. It's an RBI single. You can hear the crowd from the dugout. Gavin Turley picks up his first hit on the summer. Brings in a run. It's 7-3 for the Doors.
And the dugout loves it. And he, as soon as it dropped, while running down that first baseline, started pointing to the dugout and enjoying the moment with his teammates. It's got to feel good for a guy who hit so well this season at Oregon State, over 300. He's so talented. Just hasn't been able to buy one out here yet and finally gets it to fall. Keep an eye on him, though. The floodgates are going to open soon for this guy.
Perfect game. Second-team All-American was Gavin Turley. 46 knocks in Corvallis. Drove in 46 runs during this year's collegiate season as a rookie, and that's his first run driven in on the summer. Congratulations, Gavin Turley. As you mentioned, you've been saying it for a while as there's a base runner going. It is Turley, the throw down. Took the shortstop in front of the throw. Fabian had to field it in on the grass and a swipe bag for Gavin Turley. I was getting ready to say that you've said it for such a long time. The floodgates are going to open for number one for Falmouth. And this could be the start.
Well, and the other thing is that it feels like he hasn't gotten a hit out here, and he's been here for a while, but he hasn't been in the lineup every day because of that rotation of those outfielders. Travis Bazzana started 2 for 23 this summer. Now Travis Bazzana has 25 hits, which is towards the top of the league, and is hitting over 350. These guys are so good that when they get hot, they can increase that average really, really quickly.
The 2-1 from Davis. Martin sends it straight back. Right now the Commodores are getting ready to have all 9 hitters have 2 at-bats through 3 innings.
You'll definitely take that.
You could expect to see that against a pitching staff in Chatham, but not against this righty on the mound, given what he's done this season. That one in the dirt, 3-2. Christian Martin last time worked an RBI on an 0-1 hit by pitch. Came across as one of the 6 that came in during the second inning for Falmouth. In large part to the 4-run swing, a grand slam by Travis Bazzana into right. Martin's eyes lit up for that fastball, but he fouled it off.
Martin's a bat that has been up and down this summer. He started pretty well for the Doors in those first few games and then kind of cooled off, then got red hot as part of that tandem with he and Gavin Keelan heating up, and now he's kind of cooled off a little bit. We'll see if he can get his bat back going.
Meanwhile, Davis really trying to save his arm here and get out after all of these pitches he's thrown early. The 3-2. And it stays in, according to Jeff Merzell. Martin reaches for the second time in as many tries, this time with a walk. And now Marty Lees is going to go out there and talk to his right-hander. There is an arm warming, and this could be the day for the best arm that Chatham has.
And it's going to be.
The situation gets a little bit more daunting for the A's, who have given up 7 already through just 2 2/3. We'll let you know everything you need to know about the new arm coming in when we come back.
Family. Become a part of the Falmouth Commodores community by hosting a player for the summer. Host families provide a home away from home for some of the best college baseball talent in the nation, and the bonds formed between the players and families can last a lifetime. All host families will receive a weekly allowance from the Commodores organization to help cover expenses.
Liam Paddock, the lefty, will come in to try to work through the mess here. On the bases, a couple of doors for Paddock to strand. He's getting ready to go on to Gonzaga this fall.
Yeah, and he's been pretty good this season at Spokane Community College. He found himself with a few starts and a 2.45 ERA, which that'll play at any level, and if he can keep that going here, you can't ask for much more.
The Doors did a nice job hitting around one of the better pitchers on the Cape so far, and Gabe Davis on the hook for 6 right now, but there are 2 to his name still on the bases, and Gavin Turley with his RBI single, and then Christian Martin, the last man Davis took on as he walked him on a full count. But trying to strand those runners. It's still very early in this game, but this is a chance for Falmouth to really pick up some relatively big insurance here. 4-run lead is nice, but if you can grab these extra 2, that would really put a lot of the pressure on the guys in the visiting dugout. But back to the top of the order, John Spikerman sends it straight back and foul. Spike, first time today from the right-handed batter's box. Was in the left-handed as a switch hitter because of the righty in Gabe Davis.
Yeah, and that's tough because he was getting himself ready to come into this at-bat from the other side of the box and then had to flip while Paddock came out. Also, can't let it go by without mentioning that Spokane Community College, the Sasquatch.
Is that on your list of all the cool names? And
it was not, but it is now. I did not know that until looking stuff up for Liam Paddock, but yeah, that's top tier. It works too with the alliteration.
Good leave there by Spikerman. Melendez pouncing on that one to keep Gavin Turley standing at second base. A lot of speed out there for the Doors right now, as you just saw Turley get back. With Turley on second, Christian Martin stands at first. Already 1 home here in the third. 6 came in the previous inning for the Doors, and this fastball from Paddock stays upstairs, and the inning continues now. 3-1 count to Spikerman, 0 for 2 today. A strikeout to lead off the ball game for Falmouth, and a pop out to Miola at third. Got the green light here, sends it straight back.
And there's not many people that are loving this production from the Commodores more than Michael Barnett, who came out and gave up the 3-run homer in the first, but Now he's got himself a good-sized lead that he can try and work with and keep this Chatham team at bay until we get deeper into this one.
Big breaking ball, and Spike just may not have been expecting it. He walks back without even a hesitation. That ends the inning for Falmouth. One more run comes in because of the Beaver Oregon State's Gavin Turley with an RBI single. Good to see him get going here for the Doors. We know the score here. 7-3 very early. But around the Cape, Destiny Sanchez updates us with the scores.
Thanks, guys. A few scores around the Cape. The Cotuit Kettleers lead the YD Red Sox 7-1 in the top of the ninth. The Brewster Whitecaps are ahead of the Harwich Mariners 4-3 in the top of the ninth. The Wareham Gatemen and the Orleans Firebirds are tied 2-2 at the bottom of the fifth. And the Hyannis Harbor Hawks and the Bourne Braves are tied 1-1 at the bottom of the fifth.
And here in the broadcast booth, we welcome you back in. Matt Venezia, Zach Sardenic, and a guest with us, Mr. Chuck. How are you? Thanks for joining us up here.
Good, Matt. Wonderful night, great event today, and I'm just happy to be at a baseball field.
Chuck Sturtevant, last year, ending your long run of 36 years here within the Cape League and going into retirement, but I've seen you at every single Falmouth game to this point in the year.
Yeah, my wife says I'm just retired, but she likes to get me out of the house, I guess. So, but this is actually I completed 37 years. I made a mistake early on. Tino Martinez played for me in '86, and I always thought it was '87, but he reminded me in Hyannis the other night that he was here in '86, and so I had screwed up.
Career extended one more year here in the matter of seconds with that note from Chuck Sturtevant joining us here for the fourth inning of play now, but spent a long time here in the league with Falmouth and at the Cape League level, higher than just the team side. He first got involved with the Commodores in 1986 and continue to still be around, and it's obviously been a big part of your life.
Yeah, I'm a lifetime member in Falmouth. I'm the only one, and after I.L. Irish passed, I became the only one, but it's something that I've always loved. I hired Trundy as a coach. 3 of my coaches, I'm hoping if we can get Trundy into the Hall of Fame, all 3 of my coaches that I hired are in the Hall of Fame, so I'm very fortunate to have that.
That's a pretty good track record to have there. You mentioned hiring Coach Trundy. What was it like? I know he was kind of talking about it. It's about the players and it's about everybody else. But what was it like to see him get to 500 wins?
Well, I was thrilled. I mean, he's earned it. He's worked hard at it. And, when I brought him in, he was an assistant over in Cotuit and was Cotuit over 2 years. He was an assistant here for 2. And then when Harvey Shapiro resigned to go to University of Hartford, I made Jeff the head coach. So I was thrilled.
Now, you spent a lot of time with Falmouth, as we talked about, a stint with the Bourne Braves as well, before in 2016 becoming the Cape League's president in 2016. From the player side to then overlooking the league, what made you want to make that jump to a different level of this side of the game?
Well, when I supposedly retired again from Bourne, and they had a retirement party, the commissioner at the time came up to me and says, "You're not going anywhere." And next thing I know, they nominated me to be president of the whole league. And where I had so much experience, I knew the ins and outs of the league. I was on the finance committee for 35 years. And I know all the cast of characters that you had to deal with. So they felt it was important to have that.
0-2 here from Barnett. Spiked in the ground.
It's been an up and down season for Falmouth to this point, starting slow and then heating up. But that's something I'm sure that you've seen throughout your time here happen plenty of times.
Yep. We had a year where we only won 14 games. And the committee wanted me to fire Jeff Trundy. And we had a meeting over in the bleachers. And fortunately, the bylaws at that time, the general manager controlled the hiring and firing of the coach.
Right.
And I said, well, if you want him fired, you have to fire me.
Oh,
So they
it
didn't.
turned out to be a pretty good decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But both guys still here with
Yes.
us, even if one of them here, and Chuck Sturdivek's officially, but maybe unofficially retired after 37 years now. Now, again, you've spent a lot of time with the players. You've told us about some of the guys that you have, whether it be managed or worked with and seen go on to the major league level.
Yep.
But you continue to give back to the organizations like Falmouth that you've been a part of for so long, helped in the process of raising $500,000 for the field renovations that we now see the luxury of using.
It was $1,030,000 for the field. I raised $500,000 for the lights. And to me, once we got the football moved, then we could put the money into the field. And now that's why next year the Falmouth Commodores will be hosting the All-Star game.
And how big of a move was that for you to want to make that happen?
It had to happen. If you have the best players in the country coming here to play summer ball, you needed the best facilities. And I feel now we've got them.
I'll tell you what, might be biased, but I mean, even the facilities and the luxury of our broadcast equipment, what we get to do here and deliver the game out to so many. We're certainly very lucky to be here with Falmouth.
Yeah, when I started in '86, we didn't have interns. So I'm not sure if my career would have lasted longer if I had interns earlier on, but.
Well, we always joke about our age and being so young on the broadcast, but I guess we're both grateful to be here as interns in 2023 to be able to have the opportunity here.
Well, seeing the opportunity that this gives you guys to move on and hopefully pick up with a professional ball club, whether it be football, baseball, or whatever, is your opportunity. It's what you make of it, and that's what's so key.
And it's definitely been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all the people that are out here, all of our crew and all the crews at all of these teams around the league, as well as just the fans getting to watch these games. I've seen a lot of people that end up coming out here for the first time. They come out on vacation, with the Cape being such a popular vacation spot, and the league's impact is known nationwide.
Yep. Yeah, no question. And I've been very fortunate. I've got, because of Bourne, my activity in 4 years in Bourne, I have, I think, 16 major leaguers right now that played for me in Bourne. So I'm very lucky.
Well, with that put out right there, the Doors get out of a potential spot there. A two-out base runner coming in on the Fabian base hit. And the Doors get out of the inning. We want to say thank you so much for Chuck Sturdivek joining us here during this middle part of this ball game in the fourth inning. Chuck, we hope you enjoy the rest of your Centennial celebration with the Falmouth Commodores. You've had such a great part in what this organization's been had over the 100 years.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to display some Falmouth pride? Show your support for the Commodores by picking up a rally rag at the intern tent. Rally rags are $2 each or 3 for $5, and you can wave them all summer long while you cheer on the team. Wear your rags to home games or raise them high to help us close the door on our opponents. Just make sure to get yours today. Supplies are selling fast.
Travis Bazzana will take on Liam Paddock. And last time the Aussie was in the batter's box He sent a baseball on a frozen rope over the right field wall. Grand slam brought in 4. Part of the big thumping during that second inning of Falmouth, which is where we stand now. Aside from the run we just saw there in the Falmouth third inning, Bazana, first pitch, gets grazed on it here, and he finds a way to reach once again.
We talked about Chatham hitting the most batters in the Cape League. Or the most batters per game in the Cape League. And that's 2 already today. Free 90s.
36 on the season now for the team in the bottom of the East Division at this point in the Chatham A's. The Commodores, during the stretch of 10 wins in the team's last 13, have climbed out of that spot, swapping with the Wareham Gatemen. The Doors 13-13-2. The Gatemen 10-16-2. 6 points separating the two, though, with us moving down the home stretch here of this Cape League's 100th season. Bazana was dancing over there, ended up drawing the throw from Paddock. Just checking on him.
He has such a pronounced high leg kick from that left side. Really allows him to build some momentum and give everything he's got onto that throw.
Left on right battle here. The fastball up and in to the third baseman of Falmouth and Kyle DeBarge. The Ragin' Cajun. Seen a couple of different guys play third for the Doors this season. Michael Eze earlier on. Kevin Bazell for a short stint of time while he was here, but it has been DeBarge as he skies one into center. Moving to his left and retiring him there. Straight away is McDonald for the first out.
And DeBarge has swung it well for the most part on this summer. He's got a ton of at-bats. He has the most ABs of anybody in the lineup today and anybody active on the Doors roster. He's got 82 ABs entering today. He's up to 85. And he's come through with 23 hits. He's been solid.
The new backstop behind the plate. You can see there it's Hudson White. Bazana's going, drawing a throw from White. The throw in. Not in time. Bazana swiped 38 bags this year at Oregon State. He collects another right there. And now McGregor has got a man in scoring position to bring in.
Just got a really good jump and beat it out. This team is so good at stealing bags and so efficient. They've only been caught 12 times this year and have now stolen 54.
That's good for second in the Cape League. A couple days ago, we saw the team in first place, the Bourne Braves, and this one runs in on McGregor, and that one looked like it stung a little bit. Taking his time to walk that one off. Couple of hit batters now have the Doors in business with one away.
That part doesn't feel good. Fastball right into the shoulder.
Now those sting. Take a second. He'll have a welt there tomorrow when he wakes up. But good to see the big fella okay, moving down to first. So another hit by pitch, 3 in the ball game. And that's how the Doors have the base runners they do here in this bottom of the fourth. Fastball yanked at it a little bit there. Did the lefty on the mound in place of Gabe Davis, Liam Paddock out there. Cade Snell struck out looking to lead off the third last time. Had a base hit last go around. Prior to that, after the 3-run home run from Schubert, 3 straight zeros put up by the Doors defensively. Trying to add on to the 4-run lead. Up and in. Paddock really struggling right now. Hasn't really been able to locate at all.
Especially not lefty-lefty. He got the 2 guys from the right side that he's seen. He punched out Spikerman, and then he got DeBarge to fly out, but he hit both left-handed batters he has faced, and he struggled inside again against the lefty in Snell.
And since a couple of those pitches, now just trying to, seems to be keep everything away, using the bigger part of the zone. Sometimes to your advantage, but then you limit yourself, right?
You do, and when you do that and when you allow a hitter to dial in on one spot, you're much more likely to get hurt.
One came up and in. The other couple weren't really close. It's a 4-pitch walk to Cade Snell, and Marty Lees is going to come right back out of his dugout. Could be making a move again, or at least calming down the lefty, but they're fully loaded for the Florida Gator, Luke Heyman.
Another guy that's been seeing the baseball well. Doors just trying to add on. Chatham gave up 15 last night to Hyannis, and this pitching staff has had a tendency to allow big innings in games, and you saw it the last time these squads met here at Gov Fuller Field. Falmouth putting up 13. They're on their way towards another similar number tonight.
It's interesting, though, because the day before that, this Chatham staff shut out YD.
Yeah, one of the best offenses on the Cape.
Exactly. So it's just interesting sometimes how it all works out. No doubt about it. Across all the different teams, the rosters are compiled of some of the very best baseball talent at the collegiate level. Some, like Catuit, are as dialed in as it gets, and others, like Chatham, show it in spurts. And when you're a team like Falmouth, that was sort of in the middle of the pack, you get on a hot run like you have recently, and now you're in the conversation of being a team you don't want to see when August rolls around.
Exactly, and that was a statement that the old Chatham coach, John Schiffner, made during the Nesson broadcast. He said that he's seen this from Jeff Trundy's teams before, and you won't want to play this team later in the summer. And I don't know whether we expected it right away, as it kind of did, because right after that statement,
started
10 of the next 13,
right.
But either way, you knew this team was going to come around. It was just a question of when, and boy, have they turned quickly.
Last time the Doors had him loaded, Travis Bazzana hit a grand slam. It's Heyman's turn now. Went up the ladder and came up empty, 1-2. You can see our photographer there, Jack Moreland, there a second ago over the dugout of the Chatham A's. A lot of interns helping us out here, making things happen. Tried to work a fastball up and away there, and Heyman with a good take. Trying to get on Paddock here. Unravel this ball game a little bit. And that changeup drops in. There's been a couple of those that have not been to the way of the Falmouth Commodores, and the newest victims, Luke Heyman, 2 out.
And we talked about this over the last few games about Falmouth with close takes and not getting rung up much. Well, tonight's been the opposite. So far, they've struck out 6 times, 5 of them looking.
Very uncommon from this group. But now Gavin Keelan.
And also a lot of strikeouts from a Chatham pitching staff that's last in the league in punch-outs.
At 202 entering today. Do some quick math. The 6 that Zach just told you about, the updated number.
Now, again, part of that goes back to what we talked about earlier. They have played a lot fewer games than some of these teams, so it can skew the numbers at times. But either way, this isn't a team that's built itself on striking out hitters.
Nowhere near on this one once again. Gavin Keelan hasn't had to move the baseball bat off of his shoulders here.
Another left-handed hitter that Paddock has struggled with. He's allowed all of the lefties to reach and none of the righties, which is not a good recipe against Falmouth with a ton of left-handed hitters.
There's one that works. Still need 2 more of them, though. The first strike of this at-bat. Keelan a double back in the second. Drove in a run on it. Walked last time, came in to score. And that's nowhere near. Run number 8 comes in for Falmouth on that walk. The bullpen guys loving the effort that they've seen right now.
Yeah, just continuing to keep the train moving. This is what we've seen from Falmouth over this last stretch, and you were hoping that it wasn't going to be affected by last night's game and the win by Katuitt here at Gov Fuller Field, and Falmouth not missing a beat. They're right back to it.
First hit of the season for Gavin Turley. Last time he stood in the batter's box was a nice swing into left center. Drove in a run for Falmouth. That was Gavin Keelan who ended up coming in to score. He made it all the way to third as the only guy ahead of Turley as he puts one into left. Turley with his second hit of the season. It's going to bring in two. The throw to third, not in time. And Gavin Turley has woken up at the plate. He's got 3 RBIs on 2 hits. And the Doors have double digits here in the fourth.
Here comes the flood.
You could say that again. Nice swing by Gavin Turley. It helps when guys ahead of you get on base. And what I was getting at was Gavin Keelan, the reason being the hitter just ahead of him in the order, he was able to get to third so quickly. There was a wild pitch and a pass ball in consecutive pitches while Turley was still in the batter's box. Helped get in all the runs that the Doors have to this point. No errors in the field by the Chatham A's, but there's just been some struggles on the mound, no doubt about it. All started with their starter, Gabe Davis, today. Doors putting up a really, really big inning here. John Spikerman on deck at the top of the order. The Doors have already batted around once today. That was in the second. One more batter after Christian Martin away from doing the same job. Only 2 innings later. Off the plate, 2-1. Most amount of runs we've seen the Doors put up this season, 13. The last time these Chatham A's were here at the Gov, they've been on the receiving end of a couple of these explosive efforts from multiple teams on Cape Cod. But this is certainly the most explosive we've seen Falmouth through just this part of the ball game. Not even a complete 4 innings. The Chatham A's 1 strike away from getting out of the trouble. Turley going. It's thrown up into foul territory. Miola with the call-off. Puts an end to another big inning from Falmouth. Gavin Turley having himself a ball game. 3 RBIs on 2 hits through just 4 innings. All the run support in the world given to Michael Barnett right now, who will go out there for a 5th inning. But before we see that, we send it down for an update from Destiny Sanchez.
The Cape League All-Star Game is coming to White House Field in Harwich on July 22nd. Gates will open at 1:30 p.m., a home run derby will begin at 4 p.m., and first pitch is scheduled for 6 p.m. Tickets are $10 each with free admission for children 12 and younger. Tickets are now available online at capecodbaseball.org, at the merchandise booth under the press box at Gov Fuller Field, or will be available at the gate on July 22nd. Buy yours today and come watch the top players from across the league all on the same field. We'll catch you on the other side of the break. You're watching Falmouth Commodores Baseball.
One pitch, one away. Out there and left to Travis Bazzana.
Michael Barnett out for a 5th inning of work, trying to get it done again and help the Doors kind of move up in those standings.
Things are looking good right now as we're approaching the halfway point of this ball game. You can see where these two teams lie. Our graphics people helping us out there with the work there to show you visually. I don't know who grabbed my headset there and was squealing there a second ago.
That's got to go on the highlight tape right there.
Having fun. 0-1. This one's given a ride out into right. Turley a couple of steps back and he'll make the play. Smooth sailing since that 3rd inning for Michael Barnett, 2 away.
Settled himself in, and he's 1 out away from being in line for a 2nd win on the summer.
Didn't look like it, though, the last time we saw Nolan Schubert. That first big swing from him after the first 2 men reached on a pair of walks from Barnett. But then to have that home run happen, he put up 10 straight after that, Zach.
Just continuing to battle and continuing to fight. You don't get down after giving up the homer and going 1-2-3 at the plate right after. Barnett bounced back. He got that 0 in the 2nd inning. That was so big because it gave Falmouth a little bit of momentum, and that's all they needed.
You could say that again. Little bit of momentum has turned into a double-digit effort here, and we're only in the top of the 5th inning with 2 away. Matt Venezia, Zach Serdenik, Destiny Sanchez, and some others here in the broadcasting booth and around the field here at the Gov, helping you out here on this Centennial celebration of the Falmouth Commodores season. 100 years. Obviously for the Cape League, but again, the 4 original teams, still 3 currently active that are able to say they've been around for 100 years, just as long as the league.
And it's nice that the Centennial celebration featured both of those teams that have been around for 100 years.
Falmouth Commodores have been around for a while, and it's also been a long time, over 4 decades since the last time a Cape League title was brought back here to Falmouth. The way this team's trending,
they're playing well.
You'd like to think that this team should be involved in that conversation in a couple of weeks. Barnett with no one on, still working out of the stretch. Schubert held up his swing. Oklahoma State Cowboy put one into orbit back in the 1st inning, as we mentioned. Michael Barnett, though, since then hasn't had too much trouble to work with. A couple of walks, a base knock here or there, but you've been real impressed with the righty out of UCLA. You would think that there is action out in the bullpen. This will probably be it from Barnett.
I would guess so, and if it is, it's a start that you've got to feel solid about how it went after the way that it began.
The full count, wave and a miss. Michael Barnett, 4 straight zeros after the 3-run shot. And with the score holding the way it is, he'll be in line for the W as we move on here in the Centennial celebration ball game for Falmouth, with the Bats looking for more when we come back.
Merch Shop is the one place to go for all your Commodores merchandise. Check out our full collection of hats, including the official game hats of the Commodores, along with shirts of all kinds. And for those colder nights, don't worry, we've got you covered with hoodies and jackets. We've even got bats, balls, pins, and more for all your collecting needs. Speaking of collecting, this year the Commodores are celebrating their 100th year with plenty of Centennial merchandise. The Commodores Merch Shop is the one place to get your 100th year gear. All the Centennial merchandise is while supplies last, so make sure to get it before it's gone. And hey, you never know who you'll find when you stop in. And there's always something to tip your hat to. Come say hi to us under the press box behind home plate before we close up shop in the 9th. And as always, roll doors.
Welcome back here to Falmouth. We know what today is in terms of celebrating the 100 years, but if we go back 100 years, things look very, very different than what they do in 2023, wouldn't you say, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, you can see on that list, you got Warner Brothers established, Turkey, the Republic of Turkey established, and then in the baseball world, you've got Yankee Stadium starting. Not the new Yankee Stadium now, but the other one, the Babe Ruth Yankee Stadium. And that Yankee team went on and won a title.
They've done that a long time, rather.
They've done that quite a bit.
Was during that stretch. The Yankees haven't won one since 2009. It's been a tough little run.
See, as a Michigander and somebody who spends a lot of time around Detroit sports teams, it's funny to hear you mention 2009 as a very long time.
An incredible pick over at first base. Kent says, how do you do? That's a very emphatic first out here in the 5th.
Yeah, that was nasty. Spike's quick. They had to rush that throw, but that was a really good pick.
Not an easy 6-3 putout, but it looks like it here when I write it down in my pen here next to John Spikerman's name in the 5th inning. Now it's Travis Bazzana. Came around to score on a hit by pitch last time. It was in the previous inning. And the big grand slam swing he had earlier on in the ball game, can he do it again? Grand slam-wise, no. No one's on, but in terms of being able to still drive the baseball like he has to this point in the summer, I mean, he has just been quite the spectacle to watch. Tried to do it there, came up empty.
No one has gotten multi-home run game yet this summer from the doors, but Travis Bazzana has been doing things that the Falmouth team hasn't done in a long time, quite a bit this summer.
A couple of arms going for the doors now. We should see someone else in the 6th. Hello. That one nearly got him again.
He's just making sure that he's staying awake there.
It's been a lot of runs here. I'm still awake.
Well, I'm sure Travis Bazzana is.
Hitters count now for the Oregon State Beaver, the 2-1. Fastball up and away. Hudson White trying to frame it there. New backstop. Substitution earlier on for Melendez. And a very friendly one at that now, 3-1. There is one out in the inning. Spikerman with that ground ball out. Fabian, the shortstop. This one out or third. Got the zone. Did Paddock. Responsible for the 3 runs that we saw in the previous inning. Has struggled against the lefties so far since coming in relief of Gabe Davis here. But he's got a chance to put away a lefty right here, the pitch. And the Aussie will make him continue to work.
And that's what he does. He just battles. And you saw him go right back out of the box and start working on his swing again. He's going through his motion to make sure that he's got himself right where he wants to be before that pitch comes.
A drive by Bazzana into the gap in left center, and it's flagged down. Nolan Schubert on his horse takes extra bases away from Bazzana to away.
He just cannot buy anything in that gap. 0 for 2 trying to rope one that way.
Couple of barrels in this ball game when he's been able to swing. The hit by pitch, and now 4 at-bats. You have the home run. The line out to the same spot, but it was McDonald who came away with the play. And then that one there, same ball, pretty identical. And this time Nolan Schubert flags it down. But those are the outs again, Zach. You'll take those because you know that more often than not, those get down for extra base hits, which skyrocket the average, the slugging, the RBIs, the runs for your team.
And that's a guy that does a lot of those things quite well.
Up to 14 RBIs now is Bazzana, the new leader for Falmouth because of that grand slam. Entered today with only 10. I say only, meaning that not a large total, but Bazzana's only been here now 18 games. That's a pretty good line. 14 RBIs in your first 18 games here for the Commodores. He dethroned Kyle DeBarge, who's in there now for that RBI title. Rather, they're both tied now at 14. From one guy who normally plays shortstop to the other, and DeBarge goes down. The Doors 1, 2, 3 here in the 5th inning of play. And we send it down to the field with Destiny Sanchez. And when we come back, Zach Serdenik takes over the play-by-play duties. It's all Falmouth. Let's go hear from Destiny.
Thanks, guys. Newly affirmed Falmouth Chief of Police Jeff Laurie was here at the Centennial celebration, and I had the chance to chat with him about what it meant to be at the event. Check it out. Destiny Sanchez here with Falmouth's Chief of Police Jeffrey Laurie. Jeffrey, we're at the Centennial celebration. How's it feel to be here today?
I tell you, I'm excited to be here. I started July 1st. I've been here 2 weeks, very busy, beautiful community, been very welcoming to me, and honored to be here to celebrate 100 years, the Cape Cod League. You know, it's just been a fantastic couple of weeks. Been busy, a little tired, but look forward to meeting everyone in town and really enhancing the quality of life and the services that we provide at the Falmouth Police Department. Just like the Commodores, I've got a fantastic team, and we're looking to get going and get to work and roll out some really cool new initiatives and programs to better serve those folks we're entrusted to protect.
Yeah, you mentioned you've been here for about 2 weeks now. What has been some of your favorite places in Falmouth or favorite aspects of the town?
There are so many. So I got to tell you, from the Heights to Silver Beach, I mean, the beaches are absolutely gorgeous. You know, meeting some of the different business owners in town, and I got a lot of favorite spots, a lot of restaurants, great food out here. And like I said, people have been extremely warm. We have been busy, and there was some negativity that we've dealt with, but to watch, you know, a local business, Shipwreck, you know, close their doors early to reduce crowds during the 4th of July festivities, to see residents from Falmouth Heights come out and clean up, you know, some of the damage and you know, some of the debris. It was really just heartwarming. I'm in the right place, I'm in the right town, and I look forward to being part of this amazing team.
Well, Chief, welcome to Falmouth, and we're grateful to have you here at the Commodores Centennial celebration.
Thank you so much, Destiny. I look forward to future collaborations with you and the Commodores.
Thank you.
Hunter Hodges taking over in the top of the 6th, relieving Michael Barnett, who went 5 innings, giving up just those 3 runs in the 1st inning, and now he gives way to the TCU Horned Frog.
Yeah, good to see Hunter Hodges in there. We saw him last time against Wareham, that 8-6 win for the Doors at Spillane. Struck out 4 over 2 innings. I've been really impressed with Hunter Hodges continuing to get better, one of their more reliable middle relief arms. For Mike Landry and these Commodores, sporting a 1.68 ERA out of TCU, 1-0 on the season. 9 Ks over 6 walks. I mean, he's come in, gives up some of those free passes, as I just mentioned, but all in all, he brings it in there, low to mid-90s fastball. The righty brings it out of TCU, and he's got a chance here with a massive lead.
And he's got a few different breaking balls. You've seen him up towards the top of the spin sheet on the Cape League social medias with that spin rate on that breaker that you just saw right there that can climb up around 3,100 almost on that. That's elite stuff from him. He's got 3 different breaking balls that he'll throw as well. You've got the curveball. That's the one you see most of the time. Then you've got like a slider-cutter mix and then a straight slider. 0-2 is that fastball that bounces in. It's 1-2 to Chris Maldonado. It's Maldonado, Miola, and McDonald. The 3 M's due up to face Double H out there in Hunter Hodges. 1-2. Spikes another one. Back to the screen. Saw him do that a couple of times in warm-ups as well, just trying to find that fastball and get the grip right.
Yeah, I think a little bit has to do with that. Also, I mean, a little rainy here earlier. You can tell the mound's got a little discolor to it, a little wet all in the infield here just with the conditions earlier. So just got to get comfortable with your footing, and obviously the mound here plays a little bit different than what you warmed up on over in the bullpen.
Break even, swing and a miss. Drops in the breaking ball and starts his outing with yet another strikeout.
The Doors are rolling. They've collected a good amount of those strikeouts today. Another one right there, no different than what we've seen from the work of Michael Barnett. And now you get Hunter Hodges coming in here. That's already 6 strikeouts from this staff here today. Keep that trend going, and you'll keep the very best Cape League pitching staff in terms of strikeouts increasing on that number. The Doors entered today with 276, now all the way up to 283.
Miola starts ahead in the count now. Oklahoma State Cowboy is working on an 0 for 2 outing so far. Struck out in the first and flew out in the third. Definitely has the athletic genes, though. And you see it right there, quick jumping out of the way. Start off on the baseball side. His brother John plays baseball at Stetson. And then you move to the soccer side. His sister played soccer at Palm Beach Atlantic, and his father, Tony, played for the U.S. men's national team. Played in 3 different World Cups. He's in the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. That's pretty good genes.
I think we saw some of those soccer moves there in the box, something that he picked up from his dad and sister.
Quick feet.
Couldn't be me. Probably not.
Probably not either of us. A 3-0 count to Miola. And he works a 4-pitch walk.
Yeah, nothing really contestable there. A couple in the dirt. That one ran in. You saw the one that he danced out of. A lot of fastballs there, and I think that's why we see Hodges here really walk off the mound there pretty far towards the grass right in front of second base. Just regather yourself a little bit. Obviously not as tight of a situation as you normally expect when you come in middle relief. I mean, a massive lead, but you still want to stick to your mechanics and make sure that your routine stays the same regardless of the situation and the amount of runs you have or don't have on your side.
And that's been the one thing that Hodges has struggled with is the walks. Entering tonight, he had himself 9 strikeouts and 6 walks. Add 1 to each of the totals through the first 2 batters. But the stuff is undeniable. Another just filthy breaking ball to Zach McDonald. 0 for 2 tonight makes him 2 for 13 on the summer. Both hits, Matt, of the home run variety.
Well, you hope that trend won't continue. Or if it does, meaning that he doesn't get a hit in this opportunity here. But you don't want to give this team any reason to think it can come back. I mean, again, there's no timer in this game. I mean, you have the ability to work at bats and chip away. We've seen the Doors do it a couple of times in this ball game already.
Wind is picking up as we get into the later part of this game, blowing out to left center. And another hitter's count. It's 3-1 to McDonald out of Miami of Ohio, playing in the MAC. 3-1 breaking ball stays high. Back-to-back walks, and the Anglers have something brewing in the top of the 6th.
Well, the first 2 batters that we saw Michael Barnett face, both walks. Now, you do the same thing for Hunter Hodges, and Luke Heyman doesn't want history to repeat itself. He's going to walk out there now and just calm down Hodges a little bit. Went to a plethora of pitches there instead of just a strictly fastball diet that he gave to Miola, trying to just find a different pitch to get into the zone for a strike, and then you can work differently. But if you always are, in that at-bat, falling behind, then you can't really you can't mix up your approach because you're not really in the driver's seat in the at-bat. So you need to find the first one here. We talk about winning 1-1 counts. Well, you can't do that if you don't even get one in the first place. If you're behind 1-0 and then 2-0, you're working from behind.
First pitch misses again from Hodges, and he falls behind Hudson White. Entered the game as a pinch hitter back in the 4th, replacing Jaden Melendez. Hudson White headed to Arkansas next year, spent the first 2 seasons of his collegiate career at Texas Tech, where he won Big 12 Freshman of the Year back in 2022. Freshman All-American. This past season, All Big 12 honorable mention. One of the best baseball conferences in the country. And he's got himself a hitter's count 2-0. And it's 3-0. Hasn't had himself the best start to the summer on the Cape. 14 games played, just a 125 average with the Anglers. Out of his 5 hits, though, 3 of them extra base hits, pair of doubles and a home run. 3-0 misses low. And 3 straight walks has loaded the bases for Chatham.
Yeah, Zach, only one of the pitches he's thrown has gone in for a strike. You have 2 4-pitch walks, The previous walk in the middle, sandwich in between those, was in a 3-1 count. Now Mike Landry wants to calm him down. This was not what you were looking for here. After picking up that strikeout again to begin the outing, I mean, you got to be real careful here. There's still a good amount of baseball left, and these are some big runners out there, and I think that's what this conversation is. A couple guys were stretching, but no one ready yet. So this is obviously still going to be Hunter Hodges' inning, but now you've walked 3 batters. You came in with 6, half that number now in this inning. You got to be careful.
Long conversation that's broken up by Jeff Merzell. And we're back to it with Derek Fabian stepping up, and then J.J. Weatherholt will come up to follow him. Bends it in for a called strike to start him, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, again, can't really find the fastball to go. That's okay. Just find another pitch and get yourself ahead. Get the hitter thinking that you could throw really any of the pitches you like.
Fastball, again below the knees to even it up.
That's been the pitch that he just has not really been able to find. Got a swing and a miss for the strikeout to begin the inning. On the breaking ball, one of those several curveballs he likes to throw. But the fastball hasn't been one that he's been able to locate.
And it's 2-1. Derek Fabian getting ready to try and keep his day going. He's 1 for 2 at that infield single in the 4th. That name may sound familiar to you as well. His brother Judd was really good with Florida as well. Now playing in the Baltimore Orioles system. It's 3-1 to Derek Fabian. And Garrett Coe is quickly loosening up in the bullpen for Falmouth. Hodges misses upstairs. 4 consecutive walks. And Chatham back on the board for the first time since inning number 1.
Yeah, Zach, just a little sloppy. I mean, there's not really much else to say, and a lot of these walks have been with pitches that are just not contestable. I mean, you got to at least make the batter think a little bit there. That one there, up and away, had Heyman jumping to grab it. And Mike Landry still on the top step. It appears that another batter will be awarded here to Hunter Hodges, but after that strikeout, it's been trouble.
Catches the zone at the knees to start off Weatherholt. Back-to-back batters with a first pitch strike now for Hodges. Just trying to get back moving and get back comfortable. Spins a breaking ball that misses down and in. Weatherholt does not strike out much. 22 punch-outs, 22 walks at West Virginia. 0 for 2 today, but did walk and score in the first. He reached in all but 2 games this year for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, that's a stat in and of itself.
And he's ahead in the count, 2-1.
It's the reason we highlighted him at the top. I mean, just really has had just such a good year. Big 12 Player of the Year. Was on the first team for the Big 12. Collegiate Baseball American.
And that one hits him. So 4 walks and a hit batter. And Chatham is back within 5. All of a sudden, the tying run is on deck for Chatham.
And it's all been self-inflicted, Zach. I mean, this is just...
There hasn't been a ball put in play this inning.
No. And that just can't happen. You know, you have to be able to settle yourself down a little bit after maybe the first or second walk in a row. But again, all the friendly fire here, doing it to yourself here. You got to make Chatham A's work for it here. And now, I mean, it's only the 6th inning. There's a lot of baseball left in this game. Heyman buying some time there, and Jeff Trundy kind of looking down at the dugout to just make sure Garrett Coe's ready to go. He might need a couple more pitches. And now, as everyone's getting back ready to go, here comes Mike Landry. He's going to make the move now.
Here comes Garrett Coe with the heart of the order for Chatham up. The base is juiced and one away. It's 10-5. Falmouth in front from Gov Fuller Field.
What makes you so good at what you do and separates you from everybody else?
I think I'd have to say that I think the difference for me would be that this has been my dream since I was a little kid. You know, I think when you have that love for the game and that desire for it, you want it more than anything else, and you always do it. Like anything about me is always baseball. Like everyone's like, "What other hobbies do you have? You need hobbies outside of baseball." Well, for me, it's just baseball. I love it, man. I love every part of it. You know, even the little things that don't count, like working out and making sure my body's right and eating healthy, like all that stuff. I love it. I love the baseball lifestyle, and I think that dream of wanting to be a big leaguer and play for a long time is what drives me that much more than anybody else, because I think so many people play this game, you know, and they lose that love, and I haven't, and I really hope I don't ever lose it, and I don't think I'm ever going to do that.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you.
There you see Garrett Coe out of UConn trying to do some damage control for the Doors and hold this lead, because all of a sudden this game could get really interesting, Matt.
Yes, it can, and this is a good arm to go to. Garrett Coe sometimes will show us an occasional breaking pitch, but most of the time it's fastball changeup from big lefty. Hopefully he'll be all ready to go. We saw him in the dunk tank earlier today, but now no fun and games. You got to find a way to strand these base runners or at least limit the damage. Already 2 in, but they're still juiced for the Chatham A's. Saw him over 3 innings, worked a nice save effort with 4 strikeouts in that bid against Brewster the other night. I like what I've seen from Garrett Coe. Again, he keeps it simple, as we mentioned. The fastball, the changeup, and for whatever reason, guys just can't hit it, you know, when that changeup drops in. It's a nice pitch. Garrett Coe's got the good stuff, and he stands up tall and intimidating there on the mound. And had good numbers at UConn as well, over 34 innings. Was on the Big 12 All-Tournament team, the Big East All-Tournament team. 22 appearances. Played a lot of ball there in the Big East, and you have the big inning here for him and this Commodores group coming up right now.
And he's going to face a really tough spot in the order as well. Got Caden Kent now to lead it off. First pitch swinging, pulls it down the line, and it's just foul. Caden Kent disagrees. And at the end of the day, it's strike 1.
Yeah, that was about by an inch or 2. That looked really, really good. I think either move there by Loom down at first base would have been accurate in terms of where that baseball landed and it being a fair ball or a foul ball. That's the scouting report, though. If you jump on a pitch, only throws 2 most of the time. You jump on one of them because you're expecting it, and you can do damage. But, again, hasn't really seemed to bite Garrett Coe to this point yet in the summer.
Yeah, he does have a slider as well, but definitely doesn't use it as often as those other 2, mixing between that fastball and that changeup. There gets Kent to swing through it. It's 0-2.
Well, this is a spot, again, you haven't been in a really long time. You got the strikeout from Hunter Hodges, the first batter he saw, but it was a 2-2 count. I mean, he had to work for it a little bit. Garrett Coe here just right out of the gate understands the situation and puts his foot down here and has a chance to pick up a massive second out here in this 6th inning.
0-2 laid off. And Kent gets himself another pitch to see. And we talked about the genes earlier when talking about Miola, but Caden Kent, you got to talk about him too. His dad, Jeff, played some baseball for a little while. Kent comes up empty. Punch out for Coe for out number 2, but Jeff Kent 5-time All-Star, 2000 NL MVP. Pretty good career there with the Giants.
Oh, yeah. No, he's a regular name, household name, no doubt about it. But a nice offering there. Well, the fastball upstairs. Got a good wave and a miss, and now you got to play at any base here to get you out of the inning.
Here comes Xavier Casarilla. First pitch swinging and sends it into left for a base hit. 1 run will score. Good arm out there in left from Bazana. Sails over the head of Heyman, but they held up the runner, and Heyman is down. He slipped, and he's in some pain, but he's getting up quickly and walking it off. You can see in the grass on that back side where his cleat kind of stuck, and he's showing Jeff Merzell that as it slid through. So an RBI single brings the tying run to the plate in Nolan Schubert, who already has a home run in this game.
Yeah, this was not what you were anticipating in this inning, to have him come up at any point with the tying run situation, and that's just kind of the way it's worked out. You got to be real careful here at the pitch selection and working carefully against this big lefty.
Takes a called strike. Start him off. That single from Casarilla was the first ball put in play of this inning. There were 2 strikeouts, 4 walks, and a hit batter through the first 7 hitters. Now Schubert's the 9th angler to the plate in the top of the 6th. He takes upstairs to even it up.
This is kind of what Chatham did yesterday against Hyannis. Was down by a big number, and then suddenly was back in that ball game relatively quickly. Ended up falling overall. You can't rule these guys out.
Ground ball, first base side. McGregor has it. He'll flip to Coe, who just gets him at first base to retire the side. But Chatham strikes for 3 in the top of the 6th. Cuts the Falmouth lead down to 4 from Falmouth.
Everybody, welcome inside a new episode of Behind Closed Doors. Saxon here with Commodores infielder Travis Bazana. Travis, coming out here the last week or so, how have you been adjusting to life on the Cape?
Yeah, sort of just creating a routine and finding when I can get my personal time in and spend time with the guys and prepare for games at the field and all the rest of it. So just sort of figuring out the schedule sort of things, and that's about it.
And this is your first summer playing summer ball, right?
I played summer ball as an incoming freshman on the West Coast. So second, but.
So how different is it from school ball?
It's different. There's a different type of energy. It's sort of a loose feel. And yeah, when you sort of getting to know guys and building relationships, it's a different atmosphere than when you've kind of built those relationships throughout the fall and throughout seasons in college ball. But it's great fun, and the competition here is unbelievable. So yeah, different to anything else I've played.
Tyler McGregor to lead it off at the bottom of the 6th. Falmouth looking for a response. He comes out swinging right away, but chops it to Maldonado. And Tyler McGregor now 0 for 3, and it's out number 1.
Just decent contact on that one, but pretty routine over there by Maldonado. Gonna try and respond here if you can. It's been a pair of 3-run innings from the Anglers that have, again, kind of made them some noise here in this game. Led off the ball game with the 3-run inning. Then now you come back into it, and suddenly you're still in this game. 4 runs from 7 with still all these at-bats left, Zach. You got to manage this game a little bit more differently than you thought you probably were, say, an inning ago.
You do, and that's very similar to what we talked about with Chatham against Hyannis a couple of days ago. They were down 9-2, or last night, excuse me. Down 9-2, made it 9-6, ended up dropping it 15-6 because the Hyannis offense continued to push. And that's what we need to see from Falmouth here as Cade Snell steps in. He's in a 1-for-2 situation tonight. He's worked a walk as well. And takes it. Ball outside, it's 2-1. Tips that one foul again. Snell battling with Liam Paddock, who's really settled himself in on the mound.
Yeah, it was a little chaotic from him earlier on. Coming into work there in the last out of that third inning needed. And, you know, they let Gabe Davis ride a little bit after the 6-run inning from Falmouth in the second. But as you mentioned, yeah, he looks a lot more settled in. And to this point in the game, you're getting some innings. One, that's pretty important, but you're also keeping your team in this ballgame, not allowing it to be any worse. And that's why it's a close game once again.
Snell strikes out on the breaking ball. Paddock punches out his third hitter. And there's 2 away.
They gave him a big hook. Not able to come up with it. And right now, as you mentioned, Paddock's in a little bit of a groove right now, Zach. And got the offering. Snell tried to put a big hack on it. And you got to see if this offense can try to find some more insurance.
First pitch runs into Heyman. There is an arm up and throwing for Chatham. It's Xander Sechrist. We've seen already Sechrist. We saw him here at the Gov the last time these two teams met.
And it wasn't all that much of a great effort from Sechrist in that game. The Commodores really took to work against Sechrist in his debut, I believe, too, that day for the Chatham A's.
Yeah, when 1 inning gave up 7 runs, 5 of them earned. Heyman grounds it to Miola for out number 3. Paddock works another clean inning. It's a 4-run ball game as we head to the 7th. We've got a guest coming on for you. Stay tuned. We'll let you know on the other side of the break, and see you in just a second. Welcome back inside the broadcast booth. Zach Sank alongside Cliff Bennington and Matt Venezia. Cliff, thanks for joining us. It's been a lot of fun having everybody out here for the Centennial celebration.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting to see some old faces and some old friends and hang out, and it's been a good time.
So it's been a while since you played out here, but how are you liking being back in the area and seeing the field? I mean, I'm sure it looks a lot different now than it did.
It does. We were talking about how spoiled the players are now. It's they got a little better setup. But that's good. That's the way it's supposed to be. Things are supposed to get better. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. The atmosphere has been great. We got to watch the game last night, too. So, get to see the atmosphere for 2 nights and see the Commodores get after it.
Now, we'll talk about your baseball career in just a little bit, but you still like to be around the game. You're doing some stuff now at DBU, familiar with Nate Humphreys, who's here now playing with Falmouth. How cool is that to see a player that you're a part of and work with at school now also doing some summer ball stuff here at Falmouth?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Hump is a great player, and I was pumped that Trundy was able to get him up here and get him on the team, and just excited to watch him play and do his thing and just kind of get to experience what the Cape's all about.
So when you were up here, I mean, first we got to look at some of your numbers. A lot of stolen bags out here. Led the league in steals that year. These guys have been getting after it quite a bit, second in the league in stolen bases.
Yeah, it's a big part of the game. If you watch our DBU games, we're trying to do that too there. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. You got to create runs. obviously not doing it just run wild, but trying to pick her spots and go. And I don't know, it's something I always love to do as a player, and so it's an exciting part of the game for sure.
Well, you talk about Nate Humphreys being a DBU, stealing bases, 19 of them this year for him. We've seen him be a little bit active on the bases. I take it that you're someone who likes putting the game in motion, and your recruiting, work that you do at DBU. Is that something you look for specifically, kind of modeling after what you like to do as a player?
There's a little bit of that. I mean, we're trying to look for obviously good athletes that, we're not necessarily just going straight all speed or anything like that. We're trying to get guys that can hit the ball at the ballpark as well. But if the team's going to give us an opportunity to run because they're not going to do a good job of holding runners, or they're going to fall into a pattern or something, then we're not going to be afraid to take advantage of that. And so hopefully you see Hump doing some of that while he's up here for us.
Yeah, he's been really good. Nate's been one of the nicest guys we've gotten to interact with as well. It's been really great to get to talk with him and work with him. But you played for Jeff Trundy here. What was it like on the player side? We interact with him a lot from our aspect of it, but what is he like inside the dugout?
I mean, he's the ultimate player's coach, right? He's going to just encourage you. He's going to stay behind you. He's loyal. As a player coming up here who's trying to obviously win games, but also, prove to these scouts and people that that you can play at this level against this type of competition, you need somebody that's gonna back you even when you have a tough time, because the Cape will create some tough moments for you. It's definitely not the easy league.
Yeah, that was a real tough hop there by DeBarge over at third. That definitely is not easy. We've seen some hops like that, but we've also seen some obviously elite baseball all summer long. These guys really going at it. So you were here in 2004 and then able to kind of move on. Another good swing. A lot of these guys getting some offense. You saw some offense yesterday from, get to it later in that game, and then some really good swings so far from Chatham here in this game as well as the Doors.
Yeah, they've been swinging it. I mean, to give up 3 in the first like we did, and then to be able to come back and answer in the second inning and drop a 6 spot and fight back like that, I mean, it's a good thing to see, because obviously you're trying to do a lot of things for yourself at this league and kind of put your own name out there and put yourself on the map. But you're also, it's a lot more fun when you're winning and things are going well like that too. So you want the guys fighting for both.
That's something I was going to ask you about as a player in this league, like how much of your mindset is about, I've got to make sure that I impress these scouts that are sitting very vocally right behind home plate, versus the competitiveness and wanting to win games.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the scouts look for baseball players in general, right? So if you go out there and you play the game well and you're doing things that help your team win, that's what they're going to want to see too. So I think those two things can go hand in hand, right? You're trying to win the individual battle when you're in the box against the pitcher. So yeah, like that's a kind of a moment, where it's a one-on-one, but the rest of the game you're playing with the other guys. And so if you do your one-on-one battle really well, it goes well for the team too. So I don't think that those two things have to be separate from each other.
Right.
Now, Cliff, you, as you mentioned here in the 2004 season with Falmouth, you've just talked about what it's like battling the adversities of maybe having scouts you're so close and trying to, work for yourself individually in this Cape League season, but also playing baseball in Cape Cod. I mean, how were you able to balance maybe the stress of being up here and trying to get noticed in front of scouts? It obviously worked for you being a first-round pick in 2005 to the A's, but then, again, to still have the balance of being a kid here in the summer.
Yeah, I think that a lot of it's just different now for the players. Like, they know so much more than we did 15, 20 years ago. I mean, when I was coming up here, obviously I knew the Cape was great and this is where I wanted to be, but like the social media side of it, the movies, just the whole level of it is different now. These young men come up here and they, they feel closer to it, but also maybe sometimes put it up higher on a pedestal than we did. Like, we were coming up and it was, I was just coming up to try and play the best baseball I can and get to know some new guys and have fun playing the game I love to play. So I think it's a little different now just because these guys know so much more than we did.
And we've talked a lot about the season there, but being honored as a Cape League Hall of Famer, what was that moment kind of like for you? One, finding out, and then two, like the whole induction and everything.
It was awesome. Obviously, like, what the Cape is, how special it is, how prestigious it is, and then for your name to get mentioned in that kind of air with some of the names that of the other Hall of Famers, and it was just something that was it was very humbling and just pretty awesome experience. And I got the the Cape Cod League Hall of Fame bat sitting up in my office, and some of the guys come in and ask about it. So yeah, it's something I'm very proud of and very humbled to have gotten the award.
How many times have you been back up here since you played here?
This is only my second time, so I came up for the Hall of Fame, and then I came up this weekend. So my wife and children are my wife and children are here, and they're trying to figure out how we can make this a yearly deal.
Yeah, it surely has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining us. Falmouth in front 10-6, and we hope that you get to come back up here sometimes and have some fun at the Gov as well. Bottom of the 7th, time to stretch. Gov Fuller Field, 10-6, doors in front.
Beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Gavin Keelan digs in to lead it off. Thanks again to both Chuck Sturdivant and Cliff Pennington for coming up and joining us tonight. We hope you guys enjoy the content up here from us and from our social team and from everybody working hard in Falmouth to give you guys the most enjoyable experience wherever you are. Watching the Cape League, Keelan can't keep it fair on that bunt down the third base line. It's 0-1. Liam Paddock continuing to be really good right now, settling himself down after it was a rough finish to the outing from Gabe Davis, and Paddock gave himself a couple of runs that he gave up early in his outing, but since then, he's locked in.
Yeah, 3 1/3 so far, has settled in really nicely. And again, you mentioned the 3 runs that he gave up early, part of that due to Gavin Turley with a couple of his, the RBI single, and then the 2-run swing that brought in some runs. So just you have to settle down out there, especially if you're a pitching staff like Chatham that, has gotten beaten up a little bit over the course of this Cape season. But again, these are some of the best pitchers collegiately, all over the place. So just guys settling into their groove.
Gavin Keelan gets into his groove with another hit. He's reached in all 4 plate appearances. Another multi-hit game to go with a pair of walks, and the Doors have a leadoff man aboard. After it had been quite a few 7 straight retired before that.
Well, yeah, the groove, he likes to do it against the Chatham A's. 4 hits against the A's last time we saw them here at the Gov. Now he's reached in 4 tries. Gavin Keelan down in the bottom of the order, providing some life as Marty Lees wants to go have a talk with Paddock.
It'll be a new arm entering the game for Chatham. Xander Sechrist makes the walk from the pen, and we'll step aside. Falmouth trying to add on to a 10-6 lead here in the bottom of the 7th.
Are you looking for that perfect pregame meal? Supreme Pizza has you covered. Its extensive menu has everything from pies and calzones to salads and subs. And with its online ordering system, delicious food is just one click away.
It's an honor to support the Cape Cod Baseball League.
Supreme Pizza is open every day of the week. Order online or stop by their store located at 147 T-Ticket Highway and try a slice today.
Xander Sechrist takes over the southpaw to face Gavin Turley.
Yeah, a couple of interesting outings from Sechrist. This is only his 3rd so far in the Cape season. Falmouth saw him in his debut here at the Gov in that 13-4 win. Only 1 inning, gave up 5 earned runs on 6 hits. Then, his most recent appearance was his very next one, according to his numbers. It was against Hyannis last night, so he's only been used twice. That's why the numbers look relatively inflated, but pitched just in 1/3 of an inning yesterday, gave up a hit, got out of it unscathed, but just those 2 appearances now, and Sechrist, a familiar arm that Chatham has thrown against Falmouth so far this year.
And he fires in a strike to start Gavin Turley, who's 2 for 2 with a walk tonight. Starting to get his bat going, and that's a welcome sign for Falmouth fans. Check over to Keelan.
You can say that again. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of fans watching for one of the Beavers in the lineup, obviously Travis Bazanek, just the spark he's had in the lineup, and some people coming from Oregon State. Well, it's good to see the other Beavers start to get comfortable as well, because the 2 of them did damage this year in Corvallis.
And Turley working even in the count right now. Keelan has pretty good speed over at first base. He's swiped 3 bags on the summer. turned into the everyday shortstop for the Doors. 1-1, and Turley lost his bat again. It's the first time he's done tonight, but the third time this season. We saw it twice at Spillane Field last week. And he's chuckling as he walks back, but just glad that one landed on top of the dugout instead of in that Chatham dugout.
Yeah, if no one was sleeping, or excuse me, if no one was awake over there, well, now they are. Wow. You got to keep your head on a swivel over there.
Comes up empty and almost lost it there. One-handed finish. To finish it off, so Turley goes down swinging, and Sechrist starts his outing with a strikeout.
Well, we've definitely seen better at-bats from Gavin Turley tonight. That is the positive there in terms of the production we've seen. But, hey, good to see him get his foot in the right direction today with the 3 RBIs, 2 singles.
Christian Martin still looking for his first hit of the game, but has reached twice. Was hit by a pitch in the second, got an RBI for it. The bases were loaded when he was hit by a pitch from Gabe Davis, and then walked in the third. Stranded on the base paths both times. He's trying to link up with Gavin Keelan once again, as he has done time and time again this summer. The 2 middle infielders that started together up the middle on opening night back on June 10th, starting together up the middle again here on July 15th.
Yeah, no, he's been around a while. We've talked about that, and the numbers certainly back it up at Virginia Tech this year. We've talked about his numbers. He was 20th in the ACC in batting average, first on Virginia Tech in that number at 345. Swiped some bags there for the Hokies, and had 60 hits. It was a really good year for Christian, and has earned every opportunity from opening day all the way through to where we are now in game number 29.
And he's continuing to work good ABs right now. It's 1-1. That slider is tough from that arm slot from Sechrist, lefty-lefty. Martin got the fastball instead and couldn't get any more of it than to send it straight into the ground.
You mentioned his RBI totals too, Zach, earlier in the broadcast. 11 of them to this point. Really had a nice little stretch of games, probably about a week and a half or so in the beginning part of this 10 of 13 run the Doors have had.
There goes Keelan. They're throwing to first. He's headed down, and the throw gets him. Keelan thinks he got around the tag. He was emphatic with Keith Peterson, but he's going to have to run back to that dugout as he's erased on the base paths.
Yeah, you never want to make an out on the bases. What's worse than that is making the third out in an inning on the bases. Not the situation really yet. Now it comes down to Martin in the box, but those lefties have good moves there when they can lift that leg and go right at you at the bases, especially if you're as aggressive as Gavin Keelan is.
2-2 outside. And Martin works it full. Strike 3 called. Breaking ball spins back to the outside edge and punches out Christian Martin. The Doors go down, 3 up, 3 down in the 7th. It's 10-6. Falmouth in front. Headed to the 8th. That's the score here, but Destiny Sanchez has the scores from all around the league.
Thanks, guys. A few scores around the K2 at Cavalier. The YD Red Sox 7-1. The Brewster Whitecaps defeated the Harwich Mariners 4-3. The Wareham Gatemen lead the Orleans Firebirds 4-2 in the top of the 9th. And the Hyannis Harbor Hawks and the Bourne Braves are tied 3-3 in the top of the 9th. We'll catch you on the other side of the break. You're watching Falmouth Commodores baseball.
Top of the order for Chatham is Garrett Coe once again out working on the mound. He's been really good so far in relief, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a couple of knocks there that brought in a couple of runs, but other than that, you get length out of Coe. Doesn't provide all the pitches as you might see on some other scouting reports, but he uses them to his effectiveness in occasionally bringing out that slider. But the fastball and the changeup work hand in hand, and he gets the results, there's no doubt.
None of the runs in yet on his line. Did give him up, though, after inheriting the bases loaded from Hunter Hodges. But has settled things down in this spot.
I mean, you've gotten a lot of numbers out of him. Entering today with a 1.8 ERA, one of those more reliable arms in the back end, who has been here now about a couple of weeks. He's been a guy that when he came in, got the ball and did not disappoint. And I like every time he goes out there, you've got some stability throughout the rest of the ball game. And, the A's were threatening with that bases loaded situation. Could have been a lot more than just the 2 runs that Coe, not to his credit, gave in. It's just that the fact that they got loaded from Hunter Hodges, I think any other arm comes in, it could have been a different outcome. Garrett Coe is that guy for the Commodores in the back end of the bullpen.
That ball's roped, though. Weatherholt sends back to the track is Turley, and he'll make the play. Good piece there from the Anglers DH tonight, but it ends in and out.
Well, that was not as nonchalant and right as it may have looked from Gavin Turley. I mean, that's bouncing off the baseball bat of a guy who is the Big 12 Player of the Year. I mean, really good numbers. Drove in 60 runs, did Weatherholt this year. 42 extra base hits. I mean, he's capable of getting on a lot of baseballs, and that was no different. Gavin Turley, really good adjustment there, too. Kind of spun him around a second, but then he was able to recover, makes that play, and takes away extra bases.
Caden Kent takes a strike. 0 for 3 tonight. Entered tonight, though, hitting .305. Texas A&M Aggie has really been a stable part of this Chatham order and consistently producing.
Yeah, the numbers have been on the weaker side from this Chatham team all year long, but 7th in the Cape League in average entering today's game, a .306 hitter. Not too many highs on this team to this point with just those 7 wins as we talked about. But he swings a good bat.
Ground ball the other way. DeBarge going to have a long throw, but he'll get Kent for out number 2.
Yeah, he zipped that one there nicely. DeBarge wasn't moving all that hard over to his left. He had to wait for it to get to him. And sometimes they tell you to attack those slow ground balls, but when the hops are so unpredictable, especially with the grass being a little bit damp today, it's not the worst thing in the world if you know you got a good arm that you can trust yourself to relax on that baseball, break down maybe a little bit earlier than running in on it into the grass. You get that throw off in time like we did there, you can make up for waiting on that baseball maybe a half second longer, and that's what DeBarge did, and he made a good throw.
Now Xavier Casarilla spins one foul. Looks like Joey Ryan is warming in the bullpen for Falmouth as well. Potentially come in for the 9th inning. Would not be a save situation at this point, but Garrett Coe trying to get it to him with that 4-run lead. The 1-2. High and outside.
Well, I mean, anytime you get Coe to go, in this case he went earlier and 6th inning came in, but anywhere in those middle innings to set up Joey Ryan, you like your odds if you're Falmouth, and it could be a 1-run lead to protect or a 4 in this case in a non-safe situation as of right now. Those are the 2 most reliable arms you have in this bullpen right now.
3-2, Casarilla with a high fly ball to left. Bazzana leaps at the wall to make the catch for out number 3. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning at Gov Fuller Field. Falmouth in front, 10-6. This is your home for Falmouth Commodores baseball.
You could have a future big leaguer in the family. Become a part of the Falmouth Commodores community by hosting a player for the summer. Host families provide a home away from home for some of the best college baseball talent in the nation, and the bonds formed between the players and families can last a lifetime. All host families will receive a weekly allowance from the Commodores organization to help cover expenses.
Commodores trying to close this one out and get to the rest of this upcoming schedule, Matt, that sees this Chatham team again and then a couple other big games in there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a couple of these East teams in this little bit of a swing, and YD tomorrow. Some rain expected, though, at Red Wilson Field. We'll keep an eye on that matchup. But again, the big one that you got to circle there is Hyannis. Haven't seen the Harbor Hawks in quite some time. Hyannis has climbed all the way to second in the division, 16-12-1. Entering today's action, a 3-3 tie right now late in the ballgame with Bourne. Those are some two teams middle of the road that are going to give Falmouth some trouble for the 2, 3, and 4 spot in the West.
Spikerman skies it out to center. McDonald calls off Casarilla for it. Yeah, that game's headed to extras between the Braves and the Harbor Hawks at McKeon Park, and those two teams are right in the thick of it with Falmouth, like you mentioned. Entering today, it was a 5-point advantage for Hyannis in the standings over Falmouth and a 2-point advantage over Bourne. And it was a 3-point difference between the Doors and the Braves. Well, that can change after tonight, depending on the result of that game there. Plus, still some more meetings between those two teams. And no surprise to anybody, but Travis Pizzana just found himself another hit.
Well, that average you were talking about all the way up to just shy of 350 for Pizzana. That's going to move up continuously today. Hit number 2 for Travis. The big home run back in the second inning that was a grand slam. Hit by a pitch, too. I mean, it's a clean 2-for-4 game from Travis Pizzana. We're so used to him having multi-hit efforts, and that's just incredible to say the least. He's just so good and so fun to watch. He's got some big things coming for him in the baseball world really, really soon.
DeBarge starts off with a called strike. He's working on a 1-for-4. Trying to improve upon that in this AB against Sechrist. We already mentioned it, but this is a guy that Falmouth has seen and Falmouth had success against. And when you're in that spot, it's got to help your mindset going into the box. Another check to Pizzana.
That's a really good move from Sechrist. He kind of arches himself almost like Clayton Kershaw does at the top of his wind and motion before going home. And as long as your front lead leg doesn't cross your back knee, you can still go to first. So a lot of guys will, instead of making it so that their leg crosses their knee, they'll still go up, and if they can see out of the corner of their eye that the base runner on first is going, it might look like you're going home, but you can still make that move like we just saw Sechrist do there to first.
There goes Pizzana, and White didn't get it cleanly. So another stolen base to the line of Travis Pizzana, his second on the night. He's trying to add up the total, making Cliff Pennington proud up here.
That he is. It's fun when the game gets put in motion, even when you're up 4 runs in Falmouth right now. Staying aggressive. You still got one more zero to try to hang up, or at least to protect the lead that it is right now, but last ups, potentially, try to get as many as you can.
DeBarge flips it out to right. Casarilla with the play. Pizzana will hold at second.
Yeah, smart move. He's got a lot of respect for Casarilla's arm out there in right. Not even worth putting that in motion. Got to see if McGregor can come up through here. Looking for Tyler's first hit today. This is a big spot for it.
McGregor started so hot this summer for the Doors, trying to avoid back-to-back hitless appearances. Was just 0 for 2 yesterday as he left the game early. Luke Heyman was a pinch hitter for him. Breaking ball out to start him off. Northeastern Husky has been a spark plug in this order for Falmouth, helping to lead the charge on this 10-win in a 13-game stretch.
Yeah, the Doors First time all season yesterday being above 500. Had it rudely, settled down. Katuitt setting the doors back into reality, but it's a good response. You mentioned you wanted this team to get back out in this ball game and respond to that effort yesterday and get back to the consistency of this win streak. And you give up the home run there early from Schubert, and you're wondering, oh gosh, like here we go. Was that it for that little run of Falmouth? So much baseball left. Obviously, we've seen that in this game, but sometimes it's tough to get yourself off the mat. And then when you do, if you get sent back to reality like that, it's tough to respond from. But you love the effort you've seen from Falmouth today in responding pretty nicely.
McGregor works himself a 4-pitch walk, and there's 2 aboard with 2 away for Cade Snell. Speaking of teams trying to get themselves off the mat, Brewster finding a way to win tonight.
Yeah, those poor Whitecaps. The Doors have dealt them some tough efforts over the last couple of days since seeing them the other day. A 9-2 win for Falmouth. Before that, it was a 6-5 win here. The Whitecaps are struggling on a little bit of a skid, but that's win number 10 for our friends out there in the East.
Snell skies it, tailing away from Schubert, but he'll run it down for out number 3. Falmouth gets a pair on the base paths, but leave them stranding there. We head to the 9th. It's 10-6. Doors in front. Joey Ryan trying to close this out when we come back.
The Falmouth Commodores merch shop is the one place to go for all your Commodores merchandise. Check out our full collection of hats, including the official game hats of the Commodores, along with shirts of all kinds. And for those colder nights, don't worry, we've got you covered with hoodies and jackets. We've even got bats, balls, pins, and more for all your collecting needs. Speaking of collecting, this year the Commodores are celebrating their 100th year with plenty of Centennial merchandise. The Commodores merch shop is the one place to get your 100th year gear. All the Centennial merchandise is while supplies last, so make sure to get it before it's gone. And hey, you never know who you'll find when you stop in. And there's always something to tip your hat to. Come say hi to us under the press box behind home plate before we close up shop in the 9th. And as always, roll Doors.
Top of the 9th inning from Gov Fuller Field, Joey Ryan entering to try and continue his strong summer and close this one out.
As Zach, you mentioned, it's not a save situation for Joey Ryan, but that's okay. This is an arm you want to go to in these spots just to shut the door, and sometimes that means just getting you a 0 in the 9th inning. It doesn't matter what the lead is. It might be 1, it might be 4, like this case. But Ryan, 2 saves already on the summer. We've seen him in 8 innings, 6 strikeouts, just against 2 walks. Looks really, really good. We saw him against Wareham the last time out on the road. Was able to pick up a save in that effort. Had a streak of 2 consecutive if you look back at the YD game on July 9th. But Joey Ryan pounds it with the fastball. He's got good breaking stuff and a nice changeup to go along with it. I'm ready. Here we go. Trying to close the door and move on and respond after yesterday's tough loss.
And he's been silky smooth in those few outings in the 9th inning, just finding himself clean all the way and trying to keep that going tonight as he works through 4, 5, 6 in the Chatham order in the 9th. Starts off with Schubert, though. The cleanup man certainly did his job to clean up early in the game, blasting a 3-run homer in the first, but grounded out with the bases loaded in the 6th as the tying run. That's the closest Chatham has gotten to the Doors since that 6-run second inning from Falmouth. Joey Ryan starts out in front, as he so often does, getting a called strike against Schubert. Big swing and a miss, and it's quickly 0-2.
Yeah, really good job there. Slowing it down, getting that big swing and a miss. Did that so often at school, 45 of them. The Golden Eagles up there in Boston College.
Slaps a fair ball down the line. Bazana sprinting over to try and cut it off. He will, but not before Schubert. Cruz is in with a leadoff double to start the frame for the Anglers.
A really good pitch sequence from Joey Ryan. That's tough. You give up a ground ball the other way. You know he was late on it, but just shot it down where you want to be there. The opposite way. DeBarge never expecting a ground ball. Hit that sharply, hugging the third base bag like he did there. You normally like to see you get yourself a base runner in a situation, but now you've got to work a little bit.
And Kyson Donahue is the man you now see standing at second base, the pinch runner out of Hawaii. And Chris Maldonado digging in. Maldonado 1 for 4. He singled in the first. 3 strikeouts since. Ryan elevates that fastball to start him off. Commodores will definitely trade those 90 feet for an out. It's the infield deep everywhere. Maldonado jammed on it. McGregor with a nice play. Moving into shallow right to snag it for out number 1.
Tyler McGregor's been active over there the last couple of days, Zach. You remember the pop fly there earlier in the ball game. Nearly collided with Christian Martin there and even the right fielder at the time, and Gavin Turley to make a play over there. He had a foul put out here yesterday. That was not easy. Big fella backpedaling there to make that play. He's got such a long reach, 6'3", so off the bat it looked like it could have gotten down, but when you have such a vertical reach like McGregor does, you're able to find a way to get that first out.
Now it's Aiden Miola, who starts out ahead in the count, 1-0. He singled back in the 7th and walked in the 6th. Started off that rally, was the first of 4 consecutive walks for Chatham. 3 runs ended up coming across for the A's to make it 10-6. Sends that one right off his foot. Joey Ryan just so calm up on the mound. Never really ever seems rattled.
Not really, and he's had time to get into this role of being in, trying to shut an inning down. A couple of his first appearances were with massive leads. This one's 4, but I'm talking like more than 5 runs and having not real a whole lot stress in the world. But now in these closer games, like the saves he's had in back-to-back appearances, this is not a save situation. Yet you're still getting that same understanding of, even if it was, he's still going to attack you and look relatively comfortable up there.
2-1. Upstairs, and Miola finds himself ahead in the count. Ten runs on 9 hits for Falmouth, 6 runs on 7 hits for Chatham. Ryan trying to battle back. And he does there to run it full. It's 3-2. ACC versus Big 12 action here on the Cape. Boston College Eagle on the mound. The Oklahoma State Cowboy at the plate. The 3-2, swing and a miss. Joey Ryan battles back, pulls the string to punch out Miola for out number 2.
What a time for that pitch to feel confident to go to it. Getting the big swing, full count. You got to have a lot of trust in your stuff to be able to execute that pitch, to have it be there for a strike. You got a big spot here. And a nice effort there, swing and a miss. And now, again, everyone can be in normal depth here to try to find that last out and send us home with a win.
Zach McDonald steps in. He's the last chance for Chatham to keep their hopes alive. Goes right back to the fastball, and he's ahead 0-2. Anglers down to their final strike. Good-sized crowd that's been hanging out with us all day long here at Gov Fuller Field for the Centennial celebration. Trying to get this Commodores team to the finish line. The 0-2. Bounces down on that changeup. Good discipline take from McDonald. It's 1-2. Long hold from Ryan. 1-2, got him swinging. And Falmouth picks up another win. Starting a new streak tonight as they take down the Anglers and pick up win number 14 on the summer.
It wasn't as smooth as maybe a 10-6 final would look like. The Doors had 7 runs. I'll even jump that stat. 10 runs through the first 4 innings. It was 7 through 3, and then the 3-run inning there in the 4th. Falmouth got kind of shut down a little bit there offensively. Not a whole lot of threatening opportunities, and yet the early bit of offense was able to hold on. And so far, you take both games that you take on against Chatham here at home. You lost at Veterans Field. We'll see the Anglers one more time in the regular season in a matter of days, but just a really, really good effort. And the Doors showed off offensively as it shows there. And for what it's worth, the pitching staff, outside of a kind of a shaky effort, but then relatively settled down by Michael Barnett. Then it was the loaded situation with the walks from Hunter Hodges. Garrett Coe comes in and gets business done. And anytime you hand the keys to Joey Ryan, save or not, he typically comes through, and that's what he does here tonight, partner.
Barnett picks up the win. The loss goes to Gabe Davis. And it was 10-6 Doors. But before we sign it off, we're going to send it down to the field with Destiny Sanchez.
Thanks, guys. The Doors came out with the win tonight against the Chatham Anglers, 10-6 for a Centennial celebration win. The Bats came alive tonight, especially in that second inning. A few base hits and then the grand slam by Travis Bazzana got things started for the Doors. It's a great way to go into the 3-game away stretch for Falmouth. Back up to you guys.
Thank you, Destiny. You mentioned that road stretch. It is 3 straight for Falmouth. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on the road. Tomorrow at YD. That one will start at 5 o'clock, and we'll have it for you on the radio. But tonight, on the television side, it was a lot of us that helped bring this one to you. Can see everybody there. Ellie Fideli, our director. Audrey Glynn, the assistant director, the videographers tonight. Laura Schroeder, McKenna Wall, and Scott Semanchuk. It's been a lot of people that helped to bring this one to you. But we're glad you joined us. We hope you guys had fun at home. For my fellow broadcast crew, Destiny Sanchez, Matt Venezia, I'm Zach Sudenik, hoping you have a blessed rest of your Saturday night and saying good night from Falmouth.